Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. Cellular One, the official wireless communications company of your Arizona Rattlers. Your Arizona Dodge dealers. In a perfect world, everything would be different. Exxon, the best way to get there. Fry's Foods, count on us. The Room Store, we put it all together and save you more. And by US West, life's better here.
Coming at you from downtown Phoenix, it's wall ball on the WB Arena Football. As tonight, the Arizona Rattlers, 5-1 on the season, take on the Mustangs of Milwaukee. Hi again, everyone. Tom Leander along with Doug Plank. And Doug, what a weekend. Last week for the Arizona Rattlers, they go onto the turf of the defending champs, the Albany Firebirds, and they absolutely blitzed them. They led at one point 42-0 in the third quarter against the defending champs.
Well, who would have expected it? When you look at the travel problems that they had, they were not able to get to Albany until the day of the game. But when you look at the score by quarters, they came out ready to play. Albany was the Arena League champion last year, and they came out and played with a lot of determination. And once they got up 42-0 at the start of the second half, Tom, I think they just decided to trade touchdowns with them the rest of the game.
I don't think I've ever seen that. A couple of zeros, a shutout at halftime. How about Randy Gatewood? Double trouble Randy Gatewood. He's been in the zone 12 times this season. That's top among the Rattler receiving corps.
Randy Gatewood has been the measure of consistency for this team. Several weeks ago when they just flopped against Nashville, Randy Gatewood somehow tried to single-handedly carry this team. Looking at the record right now with his 12 touchdowns, and when you look at the media guide, it's unbiased. It says that Randy Gatewood is the best two-way player in Rattler history.
That's the name, Double Trouble. We'll talk about one of his partners in crime on that receiving corps, Maurice Bryant, when we come back here on the WB. We're getting set for the Rattlers and the Mustangs here at the America West Arena.
Want to be a football hero with a family? Exxon Family Nights with the Arizona Rattlers. A family of 4 can get 4 tickets to the game, 4 delicious John Morrell hot dogs, and 4 Cokes for the low, low price of only $45. To score big on this offer, stop by your local Exxon and pick up a Family Night coupon. Coupons need to be redeemed at the ticket office at the America West Arena. Exxon Family Night. It's a touchdown for the whole family.
Make room for the new Mucho Grande Nachos, only at Taco Bell. It's freaky deaky big, crazy butt-bumping big. A stone-cold Mucho Macho monster that will rock your little world. You need to call a friend, bring a friend, ooh, make a friend, because you're going to need backup. New Mucho Grande Nachos, only at Taco Bell.
Mucho, mucho, baby.
Back here at the America West Arena as we get set for the Rattlers, Milwaukee Mustangs. Tom Leander along with Doug Plank. And Doug, we talked about Randy Gatewood having 12 receptions, tops among Rattler receivers. Right behind him, Maurice Bryant has 11. But consider, he's missed 2 games this season because of a hamstring injury.
He's a perfect complement to the other receivers, and he is so athletic. He makes tremendous catches when he's very close to other defensive backs, but his ability to both accelerate and his lateral quickness gets him open consistently in the end zone.
You see his numbers right there. Add to that, he is averaging 109 yards per game receiving for the Rattlers, again taking over for the now long gone Calvin Scheck-Snyder. Let's talk about this Milwaukee Mustangs team, because the Stangs basically stink on defense. They are next to last in giving up points. They give up 57 points per game, and tonight they're without one of their top defenders, Wayne Wade. He's out with a broken hand.
Yeah, Wayne Wade last week against Iowa gave up 5 touchdowns himself. And when you ask people in the Arena Football League, when they mention Milwaukee, you think of defense. But I think in the offseason they sacrificed a lot in giving up on the defense to be able to protect a quarterback. Last year they gave up a league-leading 23 sacks, so I think their emphasis was more on the offense.
And last year their quarterback was Todd Hamill, one of the all-time greats in Arena Football League history. Now it's the Mac Attack. Kevin McDougal, the former Golden Domer out of Notre Dame, and he's putting up some pretty sterling numbers.
He certainly is. Looking at that completion rate, that's almost what he set in Notre Dame as an all-time record in 63% completion. His senior year, he led the Irish to 11-1 season and number 2 in the polls. But he's been the person that I think that has stepped up their offense and made it much more efficient, especially in terms of scoring points and moving the ball down the field.
He did not take a snap last year as the backup to Todd Hamill, but now Kevin McDougal is the man for Milwaukee on offense. His 3 main targets, Riley, Compton, and Cooper. He has some speedy, quick receivers out there.
When you talk about 2 of those 3 receivers, they consistently run under 4.4 in the 40-yard dash with Cooper and Riley. And Compton, everybody in arena football knows about him. He's a possession receiver. He loves to run the crossing route across the field as he is here for a touchdown. But he's a big, strong receiver, 6'2", 215. And what can you say about Lamar Cooper? He's leading the Arena League in kickoff returns, and he has such quickness and ability to change direction.
Doug, I hope you brought your calculator here tonight because the Mustangs have the 2nd worst defense in the AFL. The Rattlers, of course, with the number 1 passing offense. Cedric Bonner hoping to put up some huge numbers here tonight. We'll have the kickoff here on the WB. It's the Rattlers and Mustangs coming up next.
He is unlike any man who ever lived.
Die anymore.
You cannot die. His mission to protect the world from an eternity of evil.
We must fight until only one remains.
And battle for the ultimate power of the universe. Academy Award winner Sean Connery is the master of the blade.
You have no knowledge whatsoever of your potential.
Christopher Lambert is the last of the immortals.
There can be only one.
Highlander.
Sunday night at 11 on WB 61 and Cox Cable Channel 6.
It can't be! It can't be!
Oh, yes, it is.
It's the WB 61 Three Stooges Marathon.
I'm Tim. And I'm Mark from 93.3 KDKB. Hey, join us on WB 61 Memorial Day for 5 action-packed hours of Stooge Mania.
We're colossal. We're stupendous. We're terrific. We're even superlative.
Hey, quiet, you guys.
It's the WB 61 Three Stooges Memorial Day Marathon starting at 9 a.m. Got it?
I got it.
I'm serious. Whenever guys find out I have a cat, they break.
You kidding me? I love cats.
Of course, my cat's not like other cats.
Oh, sure he isn't.
He gets so jealous if anyone drinks my Bud Light. Anyway, I'll go get changed.
You're right. Stupid cats.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down.
Oh, look at you, too.
Make it a Bud Light.
The only thing that comes close to the thrill of driving a new Dodge is the fun of saving on one. Now do both during the Dodge Drive into Summer event, where this generous cash allowance immediately helps reduce your neon down payment or save on your interest payments thanks to low financing. The thrill of driving, the fun of saving, and your timing couldn't be better during the Dodge Drive into Summer event, going on now at your friendly Dodge dealer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that works.
At Bank of America, we ask the right questions to find the right solutions for you.
I am good.
Things like our Money Manager account, which turns ordinary checking into a powerful investing tool.
Sweet.
So what is it, Ted? IPO, tech, stock, internet startup. What?
My checking account rocks.
Financial solutions.
Come to Papa.
That fit you. Let's talk.
Inevitably, there will come a time in your life when you realize you need a cell phone. And when that time comes, we'll be here.
From the Big Island to the Big Apple, now you can call all 50 states for one low rate with Cellular One's new Total Freedom Digital Rate Plan. Call virtually anywhere, anytime from just $40 per month for 200 digital airtime minutes with an annual agreement. For details, call 888-GO-SELL-1.
Moments away from kickoff here at the America West Arena, the Rattlers and Mustangs. Time to take a look at our Banner Healthcare injury report. At the bottom of your screen, a big-time loss for Milwaukee. First game of the year, Alvin Ashley, who they picked up during the offseason, blew out his knee, and he is done for the year.
That was a huge blow for Milwaukee because they really had to give up a lot to get Alvin Ashley. The first catch he had this season was for a 45-yard touchdown. Then he blew out that knee. That has been a big blow already, but as the season goes on, they were really counting on him because he's a big, tall receiver.
Well, Doug, Blank was a heavy hitter in his day for the Chicago Bears. Here are the two heavy hitters, our high-octane guys, brought to you by Exxon. The hitman, Cedric Walker, 5 tackles for a loss. That is tied for number 1 in the league, and that's usually a stat dominated by linemen. And Paul Guidry, number 2 in the league, with 44 tackles.
It's too bad that they don't keep a statistic on knockouts or limp-offs, because those two guys definitely would be in the very top of the Arena League, and it's a factor that has to be considered when you're going against defensive backs.
Take a look at the Milwaukee Mustangs and Paul Guidry. They're set to kick. Steve Viditek, their new kicker, replacing Kenny Stucker. He's one of the all-time greats in AFL history. Replaced this year by Steve Viditek. Not bad himself, 3 all-time. Field goal accuracy. The Bud Light kickoff. We are up and away here at the America West Arena. And Hunky Cooper takes it in. He's taken one back for a touchdown this season. He's to the 15, still dancing at the 20. Goodbye, Hunky! What a way to start here tonight! Career kickoff return number 15 for a touchdown. Hunky Cooper and the Rattlers. It's a track meet tonight against Milwaukee.
Everybody thought these special team kickoff returns were going to be highlights for Milwaukee. But Hunky Cooper says, no, let's get into the action even before Milwaukee has a chance to return a kickoff.
Bjorn Nitmo connecting on 88% of his point afters this season. The hold by Lance Funderburg. The kick up. It is true and through for Bjorn Nitmo. Hunky Cooper. Second kickoff return for a touchdown this season. We are off and running here on the WB. Rattlers 7. Mustangs get their hands on the pigskin next.
You don't have to score a touchdown to be a VIP with the Arizona Rattlers. Thanks to Fry's Food and Drug Stores, Rattler fans can score 2 $9 seats for the price of 1 for any Rattlers home game. Just stop by your neighborhood Fry's Food and Drug Store to pick up a discount coupon. Take it to the ticket office at the America West Arena and boom, you're a Fry's VIP. It's that easy. Fry's Food and Drug Stores and the Arizona Rattlers. Count on us.
Harvey. Hey, Ted. That was my last one.
Moving on, guys. He's trying.
Woo! For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down.
Eat it.
Make it a Bud Light.
Rattlers leading 7-0 after the Hunky Cooper kickoff return for a touchdown to begin things. Every Monday night, you can join Hunky and the Rattlers for dinner at Country Harvest on the southwest corner of Priest and Elliott in Tempe. What a way to start. Just get those vocal cords warmed up, Doug, and ready to go.
Unbelievable. I mean, we all knew that Hunky Cooper has the ability to return kickoffs, but we were anticipating describing that more on the Milwaukee side rather than the Rattlers. But Hunky Cooper just determined, found that opening and burst through it and beat the kicker to the outside and ran the rest away for the touchdown.
And Hunky tore up his ankle late in that game last week against Albany. Terry Ahern, strength and conditioning coach, said he thought Hunky might have been done for the year. And here he is back playing the very next week. Lamar Cooper, another solid returner in the Arena Football League, and it's Cooper versus Cooper here tonight. Lamar taking it deep into Arizona Rattler territory. We knew Hunky and Lamar, the two Coopers, would be going at it tonight, and they are sparkling early, led by Hunky.
These guys almost look like identical body styles. And look at the way they run also, the quick change of direction, the acceleration once they get to the open. And Lamar Cooper also runs under 4.4 consistently. And we're going to get a chance to see him on his return. Watch a little bit of shake and bake here at the beginning, and then he finds that opening and just bursts through it. Look at the acceleration. Had it out there for Bobby Milton, and it looks like Nico to come over. That one's gone for a touchdown also.
Kevin McDougal behind center with Lamar Cooper in motion. McDougal goes short and connects to Riley, but he's immediately turfed by Cedric Walker. Take a look at our Arizona Dodge dealers lineups coming your way. The depth chart first for the Milwaukee Mustangs. And you can see John Fisher in there as defensive specialist, replacing the injured Wayne Wade. Sean Riley is their leading receiver this season, and the former Cowboy, Lincoln Coleman, received a Super Bowl ring back in 1994. He is the
fullback linebacker for the Mustangs here tonight. McDougal, 5-yard pass play. It's now 2nd and 5. Looking over the middle to Compton. He has it for the touchdown. So Milwaukee strikes right back following the Lamar Cooper deep return on the kickoff. They strike 2 plays later, and if Viditek can kick it through, we'll be tied up.
When Milwaukee runs Compton in motion, he's either going to block on a quick screen or run a crossing route just exactly as he does here. And he's a tall enough receiver, although the ball wasn't thrown very well, it was actually thrown behind Compton. He still was tall enough and had enough concentration to make the catch for the touchdown.
Cecil Goggett a little tardy there on the coverage. The kick is good by Viditek, who is number 4 all-time in point afters made. And we are tied here at 7. Some early fireworks on Memorial Day weekend. McDougal to Compton, number 5 all-time leading receiver in AFL history. Compton backing up for 6. And we're back after this.
Make room for the new Mucho Grande Nachos, only at Taco Bell. It's freaky deaky big, crazy butt-bumping big. A stone-cold mucho macho monster that will rock your little world. You need to call a friend, bring a friend, ooh, make a friend, because you're going to need backup. New Mucho Grande Nachos, only at Taco Bell.
Mucho, mucho, baby.
The only thing that comes close to the thrill of driving a new Dodge is the fun of saving on one. Now do both during the Dodge Drive into Summer event, where you can quickly reduce your Caravan down payment with a generous cash allowance, or cut your financing costs with this low 1.9% interest rate. The thrill of driving, the fun of saving, and your timing couldn't be better during the Dodge Drive into Summer event, going on now at your friendly Dodge dealer.
Told you to bring your calculator, Doug. We haven't even played 3 minutes and we already have 2 touchdowns on the board. Arizona's Budweiser distributors remind you to drink responsibly, know when to say when. And Rick Frazier, the head coach of Milwaukee, is wondering when his team will come up with a stop. Last week against Iowa, the Barnstormers scored on all 12 possessions. Here tonight, Arizona touches it for the first time and scores. He's wondering when his defense will come up with a stop.
No question. 1996, he was the defense coordinator for these Mustangs, and he led the league in almost all defensive categories. So this has to be very frustrating, the way his defense is playing.
Giving up 57 points per game, 2nd worst in the Arena Football League. Buffalo is dead last. Hunky Cooper, after the first return for a touchdown, still dancing to the 15, he's free at the 20. Doing the hustle across midfield and down at the 20-yard line. Hunky was just hiding amongst the big weeds and then finally broke through into Milwaukee territory.
We've said it many times, if you're going to knock Hunky Cooper down, you have to tackle him, wrap him up, pull him down. And had this not been a great play by Sean Riley, number 21, later in the play, you'll see him fend off a blocker, and I'm not sure who was trying to block him, but he was able to come back, look like Cedric Walker, and still make the tackle on Hunky Cooper.
You saw Paul Guidry, number 7, miss on the tackle. He's 2nd in the league and bringing people down, but Hunky cut loose, and it's 1st and 10 for Cedric Bonner and the Rattlers at the Milwaukee 20. It's Randy Gatewood in motion. Bonner pumps, Gatewood going deep, he's held. Touchdown, Randy Gatewood, despite the hold. Randy Gatewood in the zone for the 13th time this season.
When you're a defensive back, you have to stay with a play. And that time, O'Neal, number 9, he didn't stay with Gatewood. Gatewood just continued to fight to try to get open. And it appeared to get Gatewood by the jersey.
On Milwaukee, touchdown.
Randy Gatewood, though, these last 3 games in particular, Tom, I think he scored 9 touchdowns, 17 receptions. I mean, he's just been on fire. You can see there he's trying to sell him on the short route, and he does. He gets the defensive back to react, and that's kind of an obvious holding there. Not much for the official to have to make that call.
Ron O'Neal torched there by Randy Gatewood. Despite the hold, Gatewood freed himself, and Bjorn Nitmo makes it a 14-7 Arizona Rattler lead. Milwaukee still has not stopped a team on defense in 14 consecutive possessions. 11:26 to go on the WB.
Make room for the new Mucho Grande Nachos, only at Taco Bell. It's freaky deaky big, crazy butt-bumping big. A stone-cold mucho macho monster that will rock your little world. You need to call a friend, bring a friend, ooh, make a friend, because you're going to need backup. New Mucho Grande Nachos, only at Taco Bell.
Mucho, mucho, baby.
Rattlers leading 14-7 here in the opening quarter. The Arizona Rattlers' 8th annual golf tournament is Friday, June 16th at one of the Valley's premier courses, the Legacy Golf Resort. All proceeds benefit the Samaritan Regional Poison Center and Arizona Rattlers charities. All foursomes will be teamed up with a Rattlers player, coach, or maybe even a celebrity like Doug Plank. For more information, 602-495-4485. That's the Rattlers Charity Golf Tournament, Friday, June 16th. And again, we always remember Milton Vaughn, former Rattler, who passed away, and they still have him highly in their thoughts and big benefactors, the Arizona Heart Association.
That's a great tournament, and I'm anxious to see Randy Gatewood also like playing golf in the offseason. I want to see if he's going to be the low handicap at this tournament. He's doing everything else tonight.
Nitmo with the kick. Lamar Cooper took it deep into Rattler territory on his last return. To the 10, to the 15, and Hummel, but still up in the 20. He was two-timed and still going in Rattler territory, tripped up from behind by Cedric Walker. And Walker still down on the floor. He pulls himself back up now in a kind of a cradled position. Cedric was nicked up on that tackle, but Lamar Cooper, like Hunky Cooper, staying alive, keeping those feet moving.
Watch Lamar Cooper when he gets the ball off the net. Look at the shaking he's doing here up to the middle, and look at the blows that he took from both sides, and I think they just nullified each other, kept him on his feet. I talked about you have to tackle, you have to ramp up. Had it been not for Cedric Walker, he would have went for a touchdown.
It was Gatewood and Stacey Evans on the double team hit. McDougal, all sorts of time, lobs it over the middle to Riley for the touchdown. Whoa! We have not played 5 minutes here tonight, and we have 4 touchdowns already on the board.
Sean Riley last year only had 4 touchdowns, 34 receptions. Already this year, that's his 10th touchdown for this season. And I'm not going to fault Cedric Walker on that play. Anytime a quarterback has that much time back in the pocket, gives too much time for the receivers to not just make 1 or 2 cuts, but 3 or 4.
On for the extra point, Viditek to tie things up, and he does. So at the 10-15 mark here of the opening quarter, the Rattlers leading the Mustangs 14 apiece. We talked about Kevin McDougal stepping in for the now departed Todd Hamill. Todd Hamill, the all-time leader in Arena Football League history in completions and passing yards, and he was the man in Milwaukee for years.
And had it not been for the free agency rule this year in Arena Football, which gave him the opportunity to go out and try to shop himself, which is exactly what he did, that it gave an opportunity for Kevin McDougal. We talked about him being on the all-rookie team in 1998. That he sat on the bench the whole year behind Todd Hamill, and rightfully so. They started out with a run-and-shoot offense last year, which they really struggled with early in the season, and went back to more of a conventional offense, and Hamill led them to the playoffs.
Hamill, by the way, in that free agency, tried to sign with Carolina. Former Rattlers defensive coordinator Doug Kay tried to bring him to the expansion team, the Carolina Cobras, but Todd Hamill failed his physical.
One of those things, I don't care what league you're playing in, after 5 years in any football league, you're pretty banged up. We're getting a chance to see Tom Forrest, who actually is just about 10 feet away from Tom and I in the booth, and hopefully we can listen and take his headphones off and hear some of the plays that he'll be calling.
Normally down on the field, and there we are. I wish we could get in close and see these glasses of Doug Plank's. Multicolored. Is your wife's glasses? Is Hunky watching this go out of bounds? And that would be a touchback, but there's a flag down at the 3-yard line.
Well, historically, what happens when the ball gets caught in the nets, usually the kickoff team violates the 5-yard rule. It's a rule put into effect to protect the returner.
We had a violation of the 5-yard belt, number 21, Milwaukee. It'd be a 3-yard penalty, first down.
And coaches are really willing to accept that penalty, Tom, because they want their team to be aggressive. I mean, how can you tell your team, run down the field as fast as you can, but if the ball hits up in the net and is slow to come down, I want you to stop. No, I mean, this is a rule that's meant to protect the kickoff returner, and I think it's a good rule, but I don't think coaches on the opposing side, as far as running the kickoff team, mind incurring that penalty.
Cedric Bonner having another sparkling campaign this year. 294 career touchdown passes coming into this one, maybe 295 after the one to Randy Gatewood. Long ball, Maurice Bryant. Another touchdown for the Arizona Rattlers. The speedster, Mo Money, Maurice Bryant, bringing in the deep lob by Bonner, and the Rattlers take the 20-14 lead.
Looks like it's going to be a touchdown battle between Maurice Bryant and Randy Gatewood. Who's going to end up at the end of the night with the most touchdowns for these Rattlers? But Cedric Bonner led him perfectly, and Maurice Bryant, in his typical jump just before the catch, was able to concentrate, make the catch, and still hold on to the football as he went into the end zone.
Second touchdown pass here in the first quarter for Bonner. First one went to Gatewood, and now it's Mo Bryant. Nitmo to make it a 21-14 lead. And it is straight and sweet for Nitmo. 9:01 to go, first quarter. Rattlers on top, 21-14. We still have 9 minutes to go in the opening quarter. You gotta love arena football.
On Cleopatra 25-25, the team goes topside.
It's awesome! Get over here.
To track down their airborne enemy.
Look out!
They never expected to find this.
My sister. Behind you!
Then, on Jack of all trades, an unlikely assassin targets the bigwigs, and things get hairy for Jack.
Prepare to die.
Cleopatra 25-25 and Jack of all trades.
Tonight at 10 on WB61 and Cox Cable Channel 6.
There is Maurice Bryant, who has now caught 12 touchdown passes here in the 2000 campaign. And that again, despite missing 2 games with a hamstring injury, so his numbers could be inflated even beyond that. He's been healthy.
Yeah, that's what's incredible to think about. How talented is Maurice Bryant? He's the first rookie since Hunky Cooper to lead the Rattlers in receiving yards, and that's pretty good company.
He's really a great story, too, because Maurice Bryant was in the Tennessee Titans camp. Danny White heard about him because Danny White, a little over a year ago, interviewed with the Tennessee Titans for their quarterback coaching position, offensive coordinator position. And in those contacts, somebody called him up a little while later and said, hey, we have somebody who might interest you. His name is Maurice Bryant. So through those contacts with the NFL and Tennessee, Danny White happened upon Maurice Bryant.
Danny White certainly knows a little bit about playing football in the NFL.
Lamar Cooper waiting and waiting for the ball to drop, but it gets stuck in the net. That's home field advantage right there, folks. They tied a knot in the opponent's net. I don't think you'll find one over on the Rattlers net.
No, I saw somebody on a ladder down there tying those net knots before the game. I don't know if that meant anything. Then they come out at halftime and they untie them for the other end.
Oh, these sneaky Rattlers. They'll do anything, won't they? Look at that. Big old fat knot right there. And that ball's just going to sit there possibly all night. Oh, no, now they're trying to pop it out of there. There you go. Jim McIntyre, the umpire. Nice aim. Knocked it out with another football. McDougal already with 2 touchdown passes here in the first quarter. 1 to Compton, 1 to Riley. Pressured in the end zone by Ingram, and he throws it away. And the flag goes down. So it will be grounding in the end zone against Kevin McDougal. Now the Rattlers are calling for the safety, but we were talking to Gene Nudo about this exact call, and there it is, the safety call against Milwaukee.
Yeah, I like to call it the 10-row rule. In other words, if the quarterback throws the ball more than 10 rows high into the stands, then it's intentional grounding. I mean, because we've seen this before. Milwaukee, be a safety. This is very subjective a lot of times for the officials to have to call. And it really all depends on whether you're playing at home or on the road, Tom, whether you're going to get that call or not.
So credit Kelvin Ingram for finally putting the pressure
on McDougal, and nice timing because McDougal was scrambling in his own end zone. There you see Rick Frazier talking it over with the officials. And again, that's one of those subjective calls because sometimes if there's a holding call, you're never sure when it's a safety in the end zone.
It really is, and many times I've seen Cedric Bonner actually in the grasp of a defender on his way to the ground, and he somehow manages to get the ball off, sometimes even in an underhand lateral fashion, and it's not called intentional grounding. But that time, I think because it wasn't so much that he got the ball off, that there was nobody in the area where the ball was going.
That's exactly what Rick Frazier is complaining about right now.
Rick Frazier, I talked about this earlier, he was former defensive coordinator, took a large part of forming and exercising the special teams. So I think that the way his defense is playing right now has to be very frustrating for him. But I'm sure he's happy with the way his special teams, having taken a large part of them over the previous year.
Frazier really did an amazing job last year. This Milwaukee Mustangs team started last season 0-5 and made the most miraculous comeback in AFL history, finishing the year 7-2 and actually making the playoffs. It was the greatest comeback in AFL history. The kick by Viditek. After the safety goes through the net, out of bounds, and a touchback. Rattlers will start from their own 5-yard line, leading now 23-14 following the safety on Mustang quarterback Kevin McDougal in the back of the end zone.
And you talk about Rick Frazier. I like his temperament. He's a tough guy. I mean, he's really no nonsense, and he gets his team ready to play. And last year, you talked about that 0-5 start he had. He was able to convince this team that they could make it into the playoffs, and they came out the second half of that season, and every one of those games was a playoff game in their eyes. And one of those games happened to be against the Arizona Rattlers, who just got destroyed that game. Not on the scoreboard. The game was only 31-28. But physically knocked 2 quarterbacks out, and the Rattlers were never the same the rest of the season.
So Cedric Bonner, 2 touchdown passes here in the opening quarter. A Hunky Cooper kickoff return for a touchdown and a safety. Rattlers leading 23-14. Bonner scrambling, fires, looking for Muhammad Oliver, and connects. And Oliver is taken down finally at the 18-yard line. You see, Cedric Bonner on the scramble came into this game 1,094 passing attempts, having been sacked only once.
That's another fault of the Milwaukee defense. When you're going against a quarterback that's left-handed, it's natural for him to sprint to his left. It's a more natural throwing motion. That time Milwaukee allowed him to go ahead and break out the pocket to the left-hand side. And Oliver does a good job here stopping and coming back to the football. Many times receivers just don't train themselves to come back to the ball.
Oliver missed 4 games with a hamstring injury of his own. Back and healthy for Bonner. There's Maurice Bryant making the grab in Milwaukee territory. Takes a few pops, one by former Rattler Herb Duncan, who is now out there on defense for Milwaukee. Paul Guidry also in, but number 81, Herb Duncan, you'll remember him. Played for the Arizona Rattlers, and if he does get into the end zone, he promised us he'd rip the top off the pineapple again, as he did in his Rattler days.
Well, Bryant, because of the success he had early in the game, he convinced the defensive secondary that he has the potential of going deep, and they were playing far enough on. It looked like Guidry that time, their leading tackler, and he just simply sat down and made a nice catch. Sometimes it's important to go ahead and get down on the ground rather than get hit several times.
Herb Duncan, still a resident in Scottsdale, Arizona, had a few players over for a barbecue last night. Some of his former teammates, as the handoff goes to Ron Moran. Moran, another player battling through injuries. He was on the injured list for a few weeks here with the Rattlers following a knee injury. And in talking with Terry Ahern, the strength and conditioning coach, he said the Rattlers really had to deal with a multitude of injuries, a lot of hamstring injuries, a lot of pulled muscles, because these players did not come to camp in shape because of the lockout and the short duration of training camp.
No question, it was very disruptive, and I think a lot of them really slacked up on their training programs right at the very end of the offseason.
In motion, Jai Hill. Bonner looks to Hill, connects for the first down, even though he is driven back to the other side of the stick. Jai Hill and Cedric Bonner looking for all of his targets. That's been really a common thread this season for Bonner, not just going to the likes of Calvin Scheckschneider like the last few years, just zeroing in on one receiver. He is working with every weapon in Danny White's arsenal.
What is impressive about the core receivers they have, they all have very unique abilities. Each of them can do something very well. Jai Hill, he's a perfect matchup against smaller defensive backs Kevin Knox, who's not playing tonight, is very similar in physical stature to Jai Hill. They were very successful earlier in the year against San Jose.
Doug, what's going on here? We actually have a lengthy drive happening. Flag is down. Bonner lobs it into the end zone. O'Neal trying to track it down, but 2 flags down on the turf.
You asked what's wrong with this defense. It's lack of discipline. They are near the top of the league in terms of offsides penalties.
Offside, number 99, Milwaukee.
When you watch a game film on them, it's not just they jump offsides one play. There was a game earlier this season where they jumped offsides 3 consecutive plays. I mean, that's what you call a lack of discipline.
And they really worked towards last week by Iowa, this Milwaukee defense, giving up 75 points to Iowa. Barnstormer quarterback Aaron Garcia actually broke Kurt Warner's team record in Iowa with 402 yards passing and 9 touchdowns. So Cedric Bonner had a right to salivate coming into this game.
And that was the game they were retiring Kurt Warner's jersey too.
Bonner lobs it up for Jai Hill. Can he come down with it? No, incomplete in the corner of the end zone. Coverage there by Teron O'Neal.
I think O'Neal may have gotten away with something there. He's got great man-to-man skills, and he actually was signed after the Chicago Bears had him in their training camp. But he had contact on the wide receiver, Jai Hill, the entire, you can look at his left hand there, right in the middle of Jai Hill's chest, for at least 10 yards running down the sideline. That's little things, though. There's little subtle things of playing defensive back. As long as you're not flagrant, many times you'll get away with it. If you keep your hands in close to your body, it's only when you reach out and make it very flagrant and force the official to make the call.
Jai Hill split out wide left. Maurice Bryant cutting over the middle. Now goes into the corner pattern, and the pass goes too deep, incomplete. Coverage there, this time by Paul Guidry.
That was not Bryant's fault. Bonner was under a lot of pressure from Richard Young, number 42, who coincidentally lives in Phoenix. Went to Deer Valley High School. And the thing that I notice about these Milwaukee team, Tom, is that they are a strong group. They may be undisciplined, but look at the arms on Young. I mean, many guys on this team can bench press well over 400 pounds, Young being one of them.
He actually benched 225 pounds 40 times in strength testing. 40 times!
You know, that's unbelievable. I don't even think most people could get out of bed 40 times, let alone trying to bench 225 pounds.
3rd and 7 for Bonner. Lots of time. Finds Maurice Bryant. He is powdered at the 10-yard line. Laying the lick was Guidry, and a few words for Bryant. So those two have begun their battle. Guidry, the number 2 tackler in the AFL, coming in with 44.
It looked like both Bryant and Guidry were talking about their family heritage on their way back to the huddle. But Bryant sold Guidry on that inside route. Made a nice catch, but you know, when the ball was poorly thrown like that, it leaves the receiver vulnerable to being hit in the manner Guidry was able to unload on Bryant.
2:42 to go, and the Arizona Rattlers have called timeout. They have brought Bjorn Nitmo out for the field goal attempt. The ball is resting at the 10-yard line, 3 yards shy of the first down marker. So on 4th down, Danny White, Cedric Bonner talking about what they will attempt. And right now, it looks like Nitmo will try approximately a 25-yard field goal.
Well, Nitmo isn't near the top in scoring this year in the Arena League, and the reason being is because there are some other teams that are higher scoring, more productive in terms of putting points on the board than the Arizona Rattlers, but coincidentally their defenses, on the other hand, aren't quite as good. And they try to not put Nitmo in too many situations where he has to kick a lot of field goals. Like a lot of teams that can't move the football, their kicker is always in a situation where he's kicking a field goal.
Well, he was getting set for the 25-yard attempt, but as you can tell, he's ripped off the helmet. Danny White will go for it on 4th and 3. You see that a lot of times, too. You bring the field goal kicker out, and then Danny thinks about it and says, hey, this is arena football. Field goals don't help you as much.
Even though it's inside the 10-yard line, the ball, it's very difficult to stop a play that just goes 3 yards. It's not so much that the play can't be run. It's a matter of whether it's going to be thrown accurately and caught, or if there's going to be a running lane for the running back.
So Cedric Bonner relaying the play called by Danny White. 2:42 to go here in the opening quarter. The Rattlers leading 23-14.
4th down and 3 for the Rattler offense. And Milwaukee looking for their first defensive stop in 2 games. Bryant on the fly, stops. Bonner drops. Flag is down at the line of scrimmage. The touchdown pass to Maurice Bryant. 2 flags now down on the field as Moran is having it out with number 77, Joe Carollo.
And Joe Carollo is not a guy you want to have a fight with. This guy was from Oklahoma, was the strongest player on their team.
The encroachment on the secondary neutral zone, number 42, Milwaukee, declines.
In last week's game, Tom, against Iowa, Iowa ran that same identical play. They ran the receiver in motion, and he stopped at the line of scrimmage. Milwaukee jumped off sides, and it allowed Iowa to continue a drive, just as it's done here for the Rattlers.
So the touchdown pass to Bryant is good, and they will tack on the unsportsmanlike conduct call against Joe Carollo following the point after. Nitmo's kick is up and good. And now the Rattlers have taken a 30-14 lead here in the opening quarter. Milwaukee still cannot stop an offense. It was 4th and 3, but Bonner, money time to Mo Bryant. We're back on the WB. 2:20 to go, first quarter. Rattlers on top by 16.
The only thing that comes close to the thrill of driving a new Dodge is the fun of saving on one. Now do both during the Dodge Drive into Summer event, where this generous cash allowance immediately helps reduce your neon down payment or save on your interest payments thanks to low financing. The thrill of driving, the fun of saving, and your timing couldn't be better during the Dodge Drive into Summer event, going on now at your friendly Dodge dealer.
Doug, we couldn't set it up any better talking about Milwaukee's struggles on defense. And boy, 30 points already in the opening quarter for the Arizona Rattlers.
This was a good call by Danny White. He was able to not only pull the Milwaukee Mustangs off sides, but also execute a play that got him into the end zone. And fullback Ron Moran really allowed that play to happen because he had to take on number 77, Joe Carollo, from the backside. And we were talking about his strength of bench pressing almost 500 pounds. He squats over 1,000 pounds. And it was very good protection tonight for Bonner.
You mentioned this Milwaukee team. They look awfully good in the team photo in the Mr. Universe contest, but they're having trouble stopping people right now. Lamar Cooper to the 10 to the 15. Cooper cuts left to midfield. Cooper has a seam down the sidelines and forced out of bounds by Nitmo. So Nitmo, for the second time, has to make a touchdown-saving tackle. And now Nitmo having words with one of the Milwaukee Mustang coaches.
I mean, it's hard for a coach to get in an argument with a kicker. I mean,
you gotta love a kicker with a tube.
And the other thing what he did was Nitmo actually played off a blocker. It wasn't as though he just came over and tried to make the tackle. He turned Cooper towards the sideline. Look at him somehow managing to get off a block and make that tackle. I give Nitmo a lot of credit.
We saw Nitmo too pick up an onside kick and run it, take a hit, and have some words for the defender as well. He's got a nice little attitude going. Savage cuts back left. Rattlers in pursuit, and Savage fumbles it. Recovered by Muhammad Oliver. Rattlers have it on the Milwaukee turnover. Jeff Savage, 6'3" fullback, acting like Emmitt Smith, cutting right, cutting left, and he was in trouble.
Jeff Savage, this is his trademark. He likes to go to the outside and then turn around and cut it back across the grain. The thing is, when we're going to do that, he just got blindsided by somebody.
Cedric Walker.
Cedric Walker knocked that ball out. A lot of times when you're cutting across the grain, you can't see all the pursuit angles by the defenders, and that time Walker just caught him from the blind side and knocked that ball loose.
That was a vicious stick by Cedric Walker. Like you said, a blindside hit. Bonner with a minute 27 to go here in the opening quarter. Quick little screenplay to Ron Moran, but it goes for naught as he's thrown back by Compton. An amazing defensive play by Compton. He was trying to fight off Ryan Drummy, but go back to Cedric Walker, the hitman, nearly taking the head off of Savage.
Well, you can see Walker missed him initially. He allowed Savage to actually come back to the backside, but not to be outdone. He came back and just put his shoulder right into his side, and I'm sure Savage was wondering, what in the heck just hit me?
Savage actually ducked a big portion of that blow, but you're right, I think there was a huge amount of body contact. Savage couldn't hang on to it. The turnover resulting into the Rattler possession here under a minute to play in the first quarter. Another offsides penalty forthcoming for Milwaukee. Bonner lets it go along the sidelines, and Bryant is wallpaper. Drilled there by John Fisher. Oh, did he take a pounding up against the boards.
When you're a receiver, you do not want to see balls just lazily thrown into the air when you have defensive backs in the area. And that defensive backs absolutely love situations.
He'll bring it back again because of the offsides against Milwaukee, but you're right, the wall is the defender's friend right here.
Oh, he almost disappeared. Fisher, who wasn't even active last week against Iowa, this Milwaukee Mustang team acquired his rights from Iowa, but he plays with a lot of intensity and anxious to get back into the lineup.
Cedric Bonner will try to get the play off. 15 seconds to go in the quarter, as the Rattlers step to the line for the final play of this opening quarter. It'll be Mohamed Oliver on the fly. Bonner drops, fires to Oliver, connects. The ball jarred loose at the 15-yard line, but they'll call Oliver down, not before Bryant gets into it. Maurice Bryant and Paul Guidry. Oh, the fireworks have just begun, and we're not just talking about the scoring. 44 points on the board by Milwaukee and Arizona combined, with Arizona leading 30-14. Second quarter on the way.
Till Tuesday at the Room Store, it's our gigantic Memorial Day sale. Hurry in and get huge Memorial Day savings and get no money down, no interest, and no payments till Memorial Day 2001. Save on this pillow top sofa only $3.97. This plush Southwest sofa only $4.97. Or this luxurious contemporary sofa only $5.97. Get huge Memorial Day savings till Tuesday and get no money down, no interest, and no payments till Memorial Day 2001 only at the Room Store.
At the Room Store.
Looking for value and people who care. Come see us at Fry's. We'll always be right there. Count on us. Count on the people. Count on us. Count on the price.
You'll find your favorite cuts of meat at Fry's, including USDA Choice Aged Beef. It's the best beef in town, exclusively at Fry's.
You can count on us. You can count on us. Count on Fry's.
She's propositioning the young guys that you're talking to online.
Out of control. She needs to act like a mother.
Moms are pretending to be their daughters online.
She steals my identity, gets online, talks to all of the guys I talk to. I'll use their name if I want to.
And seducing young men with sexy messages.
You don't need to make me look like a hoe on the computer. They don't know you.
You think you're chatting with me, but it's really mymom.com.
I wish she'd act more like a mom.
Next, Ricky.
Monday afternoon at 5 on WB61.
Checker is your one-stop brake shop. Now get $3 off machining of drums and rotors with purchase of any Ray Bestis brake products. More brands, more parts. Checker, the place to start for parts.
We head to the second quarter. Tom Leander along with Doug Plank. The Rattlers leading Milwaukee 30-14. The Phoenix Airport Hilton, the official host hotel of the Arizona Rattlers. And they give us the next 3 games for the Rattlers. It'll be a quick turnaround after tonight's ball game. They are home Thursday to San Jose, on the road to LA against the Avengers, back home against Oklahoma City on June 15th.
That Oklahoma matchup will be interesting because the Oklahoma actually was leading the Western Division for several games before they ran into some pretty tough opponents these last couple of weeks.
3rd and 1 for Bonner in the Rattler offense with Gatewood in motion. Bonner already with 3 touchdown passes. It's a quickie to Maurice Bryant, and Bryant now with his 5th reception already here in the first half, and it's good for another Arizona Rattler first down. Doug, interesting statistic, and it bodes well for Danny White and the Rattlers. They double up on their opponent this season in the second quarter. They have dominated their opponent, outscoring their opponent 121 to 69 in the second quarter. So usually takes a little while for their legs to get moving. Here tonight, no problem with 30 points in the first quarter, but Milwaukee better watch out here in the second.
I think Maurice Bryant's injuries are more of an obstacle than the defense.
Bonner whips it to Hunky Cooper and whips it good. Hunky makes the reception, somehow got back up, and it's a pickup of about 6 yards.
Earlier in the game, I talked about the importance of receivers coming back to the football. Had Hunky Cooper not come back to the ball, he would have never been able to make this catch. Had he just stayed on the sidelines, Bonner quickly drove the sidearm motion. He came back and completely caught the defensive back off guard, anticipating that he was going to stay to the outside. Made a great catch and picked up a couple additional yards.
Hunky had that kickoff return for a touchdown to begin things, but that was his first appearance since then, his first reception here in the first half. Again, Bonner just spreading the wealth. This one over the middle to Gatewood, his leading receiver, and Gatewood still alive at the 10 down the sideline. Double trouble is in the zone. Breaking Milwaukee tackle after Milwaukee tackle attempt, and Randy Gatewood somehow skating down the sidelines for the 23-yard touchdown reception from Bonner.
This was known as cloud coverage. The outside defensive back was up, and the one in the slot was back. The one was on Randy Gatewood, and Gatewood just put his hands down and broke O'Neill's tackle, and then somehow managed to tightrope down the sidelines into the end zone.
Gitmo good to go again, and the Rattlers make it 37-14. Cedric Bonner with 4 touchdown passes already here early in the second quarter, and Arizona 5-1 this season, dominating the 2-3 Milwaukee Mustangs.
Hey, how'd it go at the bank? Jim, the car loan. Did we get it?
How about a home equity loan?
At Bank of America, we get to know you.
Jim, honey, what's this?
We ask questions.
Car?
Right. So why not a car loan? Well, are they all out of car loans?
Then we find financial solutions that fit you.
Actually, we have plenty of equity in the house, and we could get this thing called a tax break. I mean, where is the trust?
Bank of America. Let's talk.
Inevitably, there will come a time in your life when you realize you need a cell phone. And when that time comes, we'll be here.
From the Big Island to the Big Apple, now you can call all 50 states for one low rate with Cellular One's new Total Freedom digital rate plan. Call virtually anywhere, anytime from just $40 per month for 200 digital airtime minutes with an annual agreement. For details, call 888-GO-SELL-1.
The only thing that comes close to the thrill of driving a new Dodge is the fun of saving on one. Now do both during the Dodge Drive into Summer event, where you can reduce your down payment on 2000 Rams with this generous cash allowance, or slash your interest payments thanks to exceptionally low 1.9% financing. The thrill of driving, the fun of saving, and your timing couldn't be better during the Dodge Drive into Summer event, going on now at your friendly Dodge dealer.
Bonner and the Rattlers up 37-14 here in the second quarter. Thanks to Fry's Food and Drug Store, you can score 2 $9 seats for the price of 1 to any Rattlers home game. Pick up your discount coupon at any Fry's Food and Drug, take it to the America West Arena ticket office, and you will be in on this VIP deal. We thought, Doug, that Cedric Bonner would be able to reach that 300 career touchdown plateau here tonight. I didn't quite think he'd get it in the first half. He's just 2 away. He has 298 career touchdown passes. after tossing 4 in the opening 2 quarters, 2 to Maurice Bryant, 2 to Randy Gatewood.
He puts up some incredible numbers, but the one number that I'm impressed with is his ability not to get sacked.
It jumps off the iron, and Cedric Walker with the big hit on Lamar Cooper in the end zone. It'll be a touchback, and they will take it at the 5-yard line. Now, there's that rule where the defenders have to stay back from that 5-yard line, but not when the ball hits the turf.
Yeah, that's exactly right. As soon as the football hits the turf, it's a live ball, and the Rattlers were just running at full speed. Who else than Walker to be the one to deliver the blow that time? Lamar Cooper, too, that's the best thing to do. Get him on the ground. I mean, we've had a little taste of what this guy could do earlier in the half, and you definitely don't want to see him running loose amongst defenders.
We have a lot of showmen on hand here tonight. Cedric Walker, of course, one of them. McDougal fires deep, looking for Riley. Touchdown, Milwaukee. Right on the money, McDougal to Sean Riley. 45 yards for the touchdown connection.
Riley is so fast. He just accelerated away from Cecil Doggett. And the play started off very lazily. All 3 receivers went down about 10 yards and just stood there. And I'm not sure whether this was a broken play or not, but as the quarterback decided that nobody was open, he finally saw Riley breaking free down the middle, hitting perfectly in stride.
Kind of a sidearm sling by McDougal. But boy, he put it right on the numbers. Viditek straight and true on the point after. So 11:40 to go here in the second quarter. The Milwaukee offense coming to life. 37-21, Arizona leading McDougal and the Mustangs.
Uncle Phil's weight is out of control.
Dad'll probably outlive all of us. Only if he eats us first.
So he's on a forced diet.
Put your hands up! Step away from the chips!
But Will's still sneaking him burgers.
Good to see you're not wasting time chewing.
For a pretty high price.
I think I'm having a heart attack.
Now he's on the guilt trip of his life.
I've been sneaking on food for the past week.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Monday night at 6 on WB61 and Cox Cable Channel 6.
Marge's pretzel business is going bust.
Marge needs help. And God knows I'm not the man to provide it.
But Homer has a plan to twist things around.
I did what any loving husband would do. I reached out to some violent mobsters.
And when the competition gets clobbered, the boys make the Simpsons an offer they can't refuse.
You mean the mob only did me a favor to get something in return?
The Simpsons.
Monday night at 6:30 on WB61 and Cox Cable Channel 6.
These guys are always smoking the crowd. The Pro Bros enjoying this 37-21 lead. If you want to quit smoking and need help, call the Arizona Smokers Helpline, 1-800-556-6222. The call is free. The program is free. Be an Ash Kicker. Quit smoking. I'd like to send along a little happy birthday wish. First of all to Fang, and then to our producer, Scott Rogers. Big birthday tomorrow. Do I dare go to the number?
No. That's right. I don't want to get Scott upset. He does too much work for us.
That's right. We won't see another graphic the rest of the night.
I want to keep him happy.
Hunky Cooper has already taken one back here tonight. And he is sliced down to the 15-yard line.
I think Hunky Cooper came out tonight realizing he was going to be going against Lamar Cooper, the leader in the Arena League in terms of total yardage. And I think he came out and put his game face on probably Tuesday of last week and just made a determination he wasn't going to go down. How many tackles have we seen Hunky Cooper break already tonight? And had it not been for Gary Compton there, to be able to make that sure-handed tackle.
And again, he went down in Albany, and there were many players, coaches that feared that Hunky might be lost for the year. They thought it was a very, very severe ankle injury. He did take much of the week off practice-wise, and here he is, gutting it out again. You won't find a tougher athlete in professional sports. Bonner, plenty of time, over the middle, little contact there between O'Neal and Gatewood. Randy doesn't get a call.
A lot of contact inside the 5-yard area that I think O'Neal wisely took his hands off of Gatewood so that when the ball was in the air, O'Neal was just trailing Gatewood without having any sort of contact or having his hands on him, but tremendous amount of contact initially when Gatewood came off the line of scrimmage.
O'Neal, the rookie out of Western Michigan.
That disrupted the timing of that route more than anything else. Bonner was anticipating Gatewood to be further downfield, and that's why the ball was overthrown.
This time he has Gatewood split out wide left. Cooper in motion. Bonner goes misdirection to Stacey Evans. His big lineman and tight end, and Stacey Evans rumbling into Milwaukee territory for another Rattler first down.
That is a difficult play to try to defend because you're always wanting to try to hit the quarterback. And Bonner that time sprinted out to his left-hand side, which was natural for left hand. And it's just the defense started pursuing him back there, but perfectly set up. I mean, had the defense bid on that play action just a little bit more, they might have been able to really go the distance on that one.
Doug, sometimes I wonder why these big linemen even pursue the Arena Football League. They have to play both sides of the field, but there's the payoff right there when you're an eligible receiver. And Stacey Evans has caught a touchdown pass this season. The pitch play to Iron Mac. Big Mac wants to give it a home in the zone. And they will mark him out of bounds at the 1-yard line. Back there is a flag down at the 18-yard line.
Back in the line of scrimmage, number 77 for the Mustangs, Joe Corolla.
Flipping for 93, Arizona.
Was laying on the ground, and I believe Stacey Evans that time trying to get a little bit of contact on 2 plays after having caught that screen pass for a nice gain. I believe clipped Corolla.
Replay first down.
We're looking at the replay of the play right now, and you see Corolla right in the middle of the field. Evans came straight down the line of scrimmage and dove into the back of the legs of Joe Corolla. And it's a shame that it happened because it doesn't appear that it would have had any impact on the play. Joe Corolla, at nearly 300 pounds, I doubt whether he could have gotten out there to make a tackle on McMillan.
No question about that. Boy, you see some knee injuries quite often on plays and blocks like that.
Well, and Milwaukee is sensitive to that, Tom. The first 3 weeks of this season, they lost 3 players because of season-ending knee injuries.
One of them was a gentleman by the name of George Perry, who was playing in his first Arena Football League game. His knee injury for Milwaukee was so severe, there was artery damage, and they thought that his leg might have to be amputated. Good word out of Milwaukee, though. He's recovering quite well now and should resume use of that leg.
One of the most frustrating things as a football player when you're laying on an operating table, being wheeled into an operating room, and you're watching the lights go overhead, and you're thinking to yourself, why is this happening to me? Well, if you're a football player and you play on AstroTurf, it's not why is it happening to you, it's only a matter of time. Just take a look around. And when I was with the Chicago Bears, we would have demonstrations in the locker room showing each other knees, hips, shoulders, with the number of operations that we've had in these various body parts. So
comparing scars.
Comparing scars. It's only a matter of time.
Boy, we've got the artificial turf here, and then add to that the boards and just the intensity of play. Oh, my guys, the Pro Bros. They know how to get on television. That's just weak. But we appreciate the sign. They are smart, aren't they? Your Arizona Rattlers back at the America West Arena Thursday, June 1st, as they take on their arch rival, San Jose. Don't forget about the early start, 6 o'clock. Call the Rattlers at 514-TD-TD or Dillard's at 503-5555. First 2,500 fans receive a mini-stress football from the Tobacco Education Prevention Program. Trying to prevent another Arizona touchdown is the Milwaukee defense, and Hunky Cooper still rumbling down the sidelines and charges forward to the 15-yard line. But a flag is down as Hunky was shuffling in the Arizona backfield.
17, Arizona.
Randy Gatewood called for the hold, and we have a player down for Milwaukee.
And I think what they're going to get Randy for is that he was able to reach out and grab rather than keeping his hands in close.
An 8-yard penalty.
And Rick Frazier, the Mustang coach over there, is clapping his hands very gleefully. But you see Gatewood tied up with one of the defenders from Milwaukee to the outside. But what an instinctive run by Hunky Cooper. Look at him make a decision to do a pirouette here, a complete circle, and then come back and head down the sideline. I mean, he looked like he was in a bumper car.
There in the background, too, you could see head coach Rick Frazier just screaming the official, calling for that flag on Gatewood, and he received it. That's one of the advantages to being a coach on the sideline. You're on the playing field, and you are literally so close to the official that he can tell you what toothpaste you're using.
And when you have an infraction on the field, especially in front of one of the opposing benches, you can bet that the coaches are going to be screaming at the officials. If they haven't seen it, they will see it within a few seconds.
Of course, we're assuming that they use toothpaste, but I think that goes. 8:56 to go here in the second quarter, with the Rattlers leading 37-21, scoring 30 points in the opening quarter. Cedric Bonner has been on the mark here in the first half, and Ced came into this game as the number 2 ranked quarterback in the AFL. And a couple of cute blonde children there. I think I've seen them before. The children of our director, Dan Siegman.
Well, that's the beauty of this game. I mean, it appeals to such a broad band of fans from all age groups and all socio-economic groups. I mean, you'll come down here. This is definitely unlike a Suns game.
It is a melting pot.
Type of crowd.
It is. And it's because it's affordable. It's fun, it's affordable, it's a great way to just let go, especially on Memorial Day weekend. And these fans are sitting on their seats right now, but they've had plenty to cheer about, with Arizona piling up 37 points on the board, and they came into this game averaging 52.5 points a game, so they should reach that no problem. First down and 26 for the Rattlers as Maurice Bryant takes a chunk of the yardage and is flipped up over the boards by Paul Guidry. Guidry picked him up and set him on the other side of the boards. Maurice Bryant is fine.
Guidry must not like Maurice Bryant. That is the second time in this game that we've seen Bryant head first, helmet first, I guess, over those sideline boards. And when you consider that there's really only 4 inches of foam on those, and Guidry looks like he's pretty proud of himself heading back to the huddle, but I think that caught Guidry by surprise. Yeah. It's very unusual to run a deep out route in arena football because there's no room to run. And unless you have a strong-arm quarterback like a Cedric Bonner, the play just won't work.
And Bryant didn't help his cause by high jumping there along the boards. He was an easy target. Over the middle looking for Bryant. He gets a mid on it, but it falls incomplete in the end zone. It'll be 3rd and 12.
Sean Riley was able to come off coverage on the backside and help out against Bryant, but that ball was not thrown very well by Cedric Bonner. He made sure that, as he should, on longer passes, make sure you err to the long side rather than underthrow it, allowing a possible interception. If you overthrow the deep ones and underthrow the short ones, you're generally going to come out on top of those interceptions if you're the quarterback.
Are you finding yourself holding your breath every time Maurice Bryant is involved in a play? He is really a fabulous athlete.
I'm impressed with his ability to jump. I talked about it. He must have an incredible vertical leap. Must be at least 30 inches, but he incorporates it so well and times it so well to make catches critical during the course of the game.
Bryant again averaging over 100 yards receiving per game, and he was nicked up and now being treated by trainer Matt Anderson.
Well, the problem is, Tom, when you're jumping that much and you're running that fast, things have a tendency to pull, like hamstrings. That's why I never experienced any hamstring problems. I never moved fast enough in my career, nor did the kind of acrobatics that Maurice Bryant has done just even tonight. I mean, he has been able to get open and find those open areas, but he also is able to make the tough catches also, and we've seen his willingness to get hit and take punishment near the out of bounds.
And now receiving a little patchwork by Matt Anderson because of that blood rule. They need to wrap up that cut on his arm.
That 15 yards is very impressive. It's so difficult to try to average over 10 yards a catch in arena football unless you're running downfield, and it makes it difficult on this Mustang team. They have had problems on their defense this year, but their defensive backs are very aggressive, and they really jump those short routes.
So after the lengthy delay, the officials are now huddled just where the ball is marked at the 22-yard line. 7:17 to go, and the Rattlers have it 3rd and 12. I think we deserved a bit of a breather following the incredible start to this game. The back and forth action, the two Coopers, Lamart and Hunky, returning kickoffs right and left, the offense churning out the points. And things have slowed down a little bit here in the second quarter.
I think some of it is by design also. Danny decides once he gets a lead to be able to utilize that clock and make sure that it's to his advantage.
Bonner drawing the defense offside. He's sacked in the backfield, but they will stop the play. It will not be a sack against Arizona, and Bonner, instead, I believe Milwaukee jumped offsides. We'll see if they were pulled off.
Offside, number 90, Milwaukee.
This is really a lack of discipline, and looking at Rick Frazier on the sideline, you can just see this very concerned look that he has staring out onto the field. And it has, as I said, he was defensive coordinator several years ago and had this Milwaukee defense playing in the top 3 in all defensive categories in arena football. This has to be very frustrating for him to see the meltdown on this defense.
You talk about all the changes he made. The man who was called for the offside, Terry Grooms, the only returning lineman for Rick Frazier and Milwaukee. A total overhaul on the line, and with all these new players come the mistakes.
No question. We talked about the injuries also, which I think complement some of the indecisions and lack of continuity that this Milwaukee team has had this season.
And now we got Carollo, who is bleeding on his left arm. Check out those biceps. That is not human. That is just not human.
I don't know if you call that a shirt or a pair of pants. Those look like legs coming out of those shoulder pads. My. Well, we talked about him being able to bench like 500 pounds and squat over 1,000. I mean, he's definitely somebody you don't want to be responsible for per diem.
Here comes Carollo, and that's where he nicked up the arm, the rug burn on the left forearm of Carollo. They wrap him up and send him back out.
Everybody wants to be a tough guy and play with as fewest pads as possible, and that's fine if you're a defensive back or wide receiver, but when you're on the line of scrimmage, especially playing on AstroTurf, I would at least have my elbows covered. Maybe not necessarily with a pad, but at least have it wrapped in some form or fashion.
Carollo acquired last week from Houston by Milwaukee. Again, interchanging their linemen. Bonner, again, it's 3rd and 9. Here's the pass play to Bob McMillan. He has the first down and more to the 5-yard line. Oh, if he could have kept his feet, sidestepping, backpedaling, Big Mac would have been in the zone. Instead, they'll mark it at the 5. First and goal for the Rattlers.
Well, I think you were talking about Terry Grooms a little bit earlier. It's so difficult for the defensive line. Look how fast they come off the line of scrimmage. Grooms runs right by Bob McMillan. In fact, he gave Grooms a push back towards the quarterback, knowing that he was going to run that quick screen pattern. And that's another thing that Danny White does on a consistent basis to keep defensive lines honest. Not only changing the snap count, also running screens.
They bit so hard, they're going to need a crown from a dentist. Boy, Arizona just pulled him into that one. Bonner into the corner, one-handed, Bob McMillan, touchdown! Oh, you have to see it to believe it. Bob McMillan with one arm extended makes the fabulous catch in the corner of the end zone. I am salivating to see this replay.
That's highlight film stuff there. And Sean Riley, number 21, can't believe it either. You can see McMillan releases off the line of scrimmage and just tears off across the formation and makes a tremendous one-arm catch before he goes out of bounds in the corner of the end zone.
And you see Cedric Bonner watching the replay up on the big screen. I don't think he believed it when he saw it in real time. Bjorn Nitmo knocks it through. Iron Mac, Bob McMillan with the catch of the year. This will be tough to top when we come out with our top 10 plays of the season. Oh, this is arena football. When a fullback makes a reception like this. We're back on the WB after this.
A bomber hits Manhattan. And 2 cops could be his next victims.
It's just a matter of time.
Very little time before I take down my next target.
But when JC lets him slip through his fingers, the countdown begins.
You have 10 minutes from when I hang up. No evacuations or the place goes sky high.
New York Undercover.
Tonight at 11 on WB61 and Cox Cable Channel 6.
Bob McMillan will be telling his kids about that catch for years to come. Arizona Rattlers leading Milwaukee now 44-21.
think about some of the catches that Bob McMillan has made this year, though, not just that athletic one there, but earlier in the season,
in San
where
Jose,
San Jose just stole the ball from one of the defensive backs.
You're right.
Both the defensive back and Bob McMillan had a chance to make that catch, but he just with his strength and size, and we knew he was athletic from some of the running skills that he's shown thus far, but not to the extent he made on that last catch.
You almost come to expect that of a Maurice Bryant, but Bob McMillan has just thrilled us here in the first half, putting Arizona up now by 23.
It's hard to run over people, Tom, and then somehow get graceful the next play and make a very skilled catch in the manner in which he did.
Usually you're just one or the other. You're a behemoth, or you can prance around and do it with flair and style, but Bob McMillan somehow has combined the two traits. Mark Cooper couldn't get his paws on it in the back of the end zone, so Milwaukee takes over at the 5-yard line, trailing 44-21, and Doug, their defense, I hate to keep repeating myself, still has not come up with a stop in their last 2 games.
That has to be so unsettling for that man right there. He doesn't look very happy walking down the sideline, Rick Frazier. And I'm sure he's thinking that very same thing. When are we going to be able to make a stop?
He can't complain about his offense and Kevin McDougal. I mean, their offense coming in ranked number 3 in the league, averaging 55 points a game. But when you're giving up 57, that's when your record's 2 and 3. Along the sidelines, the connection is made and popped there in midfield by Cecil Doggett is Sean Riley. Oh, a doggy treat by Cecil Doggett at midfield.
We had a great shot of it because our perspective on the play, when you saw those two bodies coming together, and Cecil Doggett just unloaded on Riley and just drove him straight backwards. And it was even with the force of Cedric Walker, who was helping push Riley down the field. You see him get his hand on here at the very end. Cecil Doggett just putting his shoulder right in the middle of his chest.
Leading candidate for our stinger of the game. McDougal on 1st and 10. Oh, look at that. All sorts of time. And now Kelvin Ingram in pursuit. Rattles him out of the pocket, and he throws it incomplete. Boy, he was just standing there flat-footed, Kevin McDougal, and all of a sudden comes Kelvin Ingram, and Kelvin is shaken up there along the boards at the 12-yard line. Ingram is still down.
It is not fun running into those out-of-bounds boards. I talked about there is some foam on those, about 4 inches, but and I'm not so sure Ingram didn't have other bodies land on top of him simultaneously when he was trying to make a tackle on McDougal, but that was close to being a coverage sack. The defensive backs downfield gave McDougal nowhere to go. Cedric Walker had jammed Compton on the weak side, and he just threw the ball away at the last second.
I think he landed on his foot in the abdomen.
It's interesting because a lot of times you realize different colored jerseys around you when you're involved in plays, but many times it's your own teammate. You think if that's a friendly jersey, but in that situation, when your own teammate lands on you, it comes as a very unsuspecting situation.
And watch the stomach area as he goes down right on the right foot of McDougal, right in the gut. But Ingram is still out there. He's just gotten up and will resume playing.
I would not want somebody like a Wendell Gaines, number 99, landing on me. I don't care where it was, my stomach, my back, on my ankle. I mean, he played so well last week, Wendell Gaines. He just almost personally took over that game against Albany.
Look at Ingram, too. They're trying to get Ingram off the field. He doesn't want to leave. Ingram now talking over with his line coach, Chris Conlon, and now they're going to have to stop play here at the 3:40 mark. So I think a little bit of difference of opinion. Kelvin Ingram said, I'm not leaving this game. I'm staying out here.
That's one thing about the Rattlers this season. Their lines have done an exceptional job of protecting Cedric Bonner. I mentioned a little bit earlier that he's been sacked only one time in over 1,100 attempts. And that was against San Jose, where coincidentally there was illegal motion before the ball was even snapped. And we thought the whistle was blown dead, but they allowed the play to go on, and Cedric Bonner thought it was a dead play, and he was sacked on the play, and that's the first time in 1,100 attempts that he was sacked. But great protection by Walker, or by Bonner on the offensive side of the football. And when you look at the defense, these guys have done a great job. It doesn't necessarily show up in the form of sacks, but many times they pressure the opposition, the quarterback, into making bad decisions and creating turnovers.
And And that was what makes Cedric Bonner so effective, too, making such good decisions, his quick release, and his mobility in the pocket. I think Cedric is really just starting to round himself into shape, too, because, again, with that layoff, a lot of these players are now just starting to peak. McDougal, 5 of 6 here in the first half. Over the middle, looking for Riley, and Cedric Walker spared Sean Riley the big, vicious stick as the pass went incomplete.
McDougal gave Riley no chance to make that catch. That ball was thrown way too high. And I think Riley realized that if he reached up too far, he was going to be exposing his entire rib cage to Cedric Walker, who was immediately behind him. And I think that these receivers from Milwaukee have seen enough of Cedric Walker tonight with that forced fumble and the hits he's had throughout this first half. But they don't want to unnecessarily expose themselves in catching situations.
3rd and 10. Rattler fans want to stop. McDougal, 5 completions, 3 have gone for touchdowns. Down the sidelines, Lamar Cooper knocked away at the last second by Andre Goyes.
He could not have timed that play any better. That was a perfectly thrown pass by McDougal. And we talked about the speed that these receivers have. Lamar Cooper, a sub 4.4 guy in the 40-yard dash. He actually got a step for a moment, but great defensive play. Look at the last second to have that right hand be able to be extended by Andre Goyes and being able to deflect that ball down.
On comes Viditek for a 41-yard field goal attempt. Andre Goyes, tremendous coverage there on 3rd down. 41-yard attempt by Viditek. It is up, but wide left. Off the screen, it comes to Maurice Bryant. Bryant with a full head of steam and tripped up and down at the 15-yard line. Oh, he was just getting started. Flag is down back at the 5-yard line. Man, every time he touches that ball, you are just waiting for something spectacular to happen.
You can see the acceleration he has. I mean, when he hits that opening, he really has the ability to clear.
With violation of the 5-yard line, number 21, Milwaukee.
Sean Riley invading the personal space of one Maurice Bryant. But I think explosive, an explosion might be an overused term sometimes, not when you're talking about Bryant.
When you look at him, he looks like a tuning fork, a human tuning fork out there. Look at all the lateral motion left and right. And he just accelerated. He just managed to get a shoestring tackle on that play, but he has so much acceleration. You can just see the enthusiasm and excitement this guy has every time he touches the ball.
6 catches, a couple of scores here in the first half. Under the 2-minute mark here in the second quarter. Rattlers on top 44-21. The pitch play to Ron Moran. Puts his head down and bowls forward for a pickup of about 4 yards. So Danny White will milk the clock here in the final stages of the first half.
I think being a good coach is having good clock management. And although it's important to score as many points as you can in arena football, it's also smart to make sure that when you do score, there's very little time left for your opposition. And I believe that's what Danny's trying to do now. We're getting into the last minute of the first half, which means the clock will be stopping on all plays out of bounds or lack of picking up positive yardage on running plays.
And there is that 1-minute pause. Clock stops. And that is the reason why Danny White has won 69% of his games in arena football. Clock management. And I'm sure he'll tell you, too, he learned on the job in those first few years. Now, in his 9th season as head coach and general manager, the only head coach and GM the Rattlers have ever had.
You talk about clock management, though. He learned from a pretty good guy down in Dallas when he was down there with Tom Landry. Every time we ever played the Cowboys, if the game was close at the end, you started believing, even as the opposition, that Dallas somehow was going to use the clock to their advantage and win the game.
2nd down and 6. Bryant looked like Milwaukee went offside. The flag is down, and Bryant is hogtied at the 5-yard line by Fisher. Flags are down, and again it appeared that Milwaukee jumped offside. If that is the case, Arizona will have it. 1st and goal from the 5.
It is pretty hard to stop the offense if you're going to jump off sides all the time. See Cedric Bonner declining the penalty.
91 Milwaukee, decline, 1st down.
What has to be terribly frustrating for Rick Frazier, the Mustang coach, is that if they were getting pressure on the quarterback, it would be one thing. but they're jumping off sides, and the nature of the offense the Rattlers are running, if the ball is away before they ever get an opportunity to pressure Bonner. That time, a perfectly delivered ball on a quick post pattern to Bryant. And as this game goes on, Bonner seems to be looking for Bryant in all the critical situations to try to deliver the football.
Doug, that was an absolute laser by Bonner over the middle. He is now 17 of 21, 5 touchdown passes here in the first half. The fumble, though, as Moran couldn't take the handoff from Bonner, and it goes into the hands of Milwaukee, and that is their first stop in 2 games. It comes because of the turnover. Bonner having trouble with the exchange on Moran. There is a flag down in the back of the end zone as Maurice Bryant tangled up with, I believe, Paul Guidry of Milwaukee.
A lot of confusion. That ball, when Bonner turned around, he did not anticipate Moran to be in the position he was. And it looked like Guidry had Bryant down on the end zone.
On number 7, unsportsmanlike conduct on number 19 will offset a first down.
I would love to see a replay of Guidry and Bryant in the end zone. It's pretty hard to be unsportsmanlike when you're laying on your back in the end zone and a guy is kicking you and punching you. I just wonder what Bryant maybe said something to him, but that is the only thing that he could have been called unsportsmanlike for.
Well, Guidry and Milwaukee finally come up with their first stop. They gave up 12 scores on 12 possessions last week to Iowa. Arizona rolling along with 44 points here in the first half, and then they cough it up on the fumble. McDougal rattled out of the pocket. Flags fly. The ball is tipped into the hands of Savage. Savage going to the zone and scores as Cecil Doggett strips it away after he crossed the goal line. There is bad blood between these two teams, and we'll have to figure out what the flag
defense,
is.
An outside rush, number 48, Arizona, decline, touchdown.
So give Milwaukee the score. Savage, right place at the right time on the tip pass, and Milwaukee here with 17 seconds to go until the half. Now with 27 on the board.
One of those situations where if you make an effort to try to sprint to the ball every single time, sometimes good things happen. That time Jeff Savage, number 25, ran down the field where the ball was being thrown, caught a deflection, and ran the rest away for the touchdown.
Viditek through the thin pipes here in arena football. Knocks it through, making it a 44-28 game. And Jeff Savage, watch as he's right there on the tip pass. The intended receiver was Herb Duncan.
Oliver had great coverage on that play. Had Herb Duncan well covered, but he did not knock the ball straight down. He deflected the ball. You'll see Cecil Doggett come there at the last second to strip the ball away. And as this game started unfolding and the difference started increasing in terms of the point spread, we didn't really think turnovers would be that much of a factor. Coming into tonight's game, Milwaukee was at -4. In other words, they had given the ball away 4 more times than they had taken it away from their opposition. And the Rattlers, despite that disastrous game they had earlier in the season against Nashville, was only -1. But it's interesting to see how turnovers can suddenly and quickly change the complexion of the game.
I did enjoy Cecil Doggett, though. No showboating on our turf, especially when you're trailing, as they do now, 44-28. But Cecil wasn't going to let him get away with that high spike in the end zone.
You can tell he's very upset after that last play, but it's pretty hard defense against the deflection. Most defensive backs are taught to go ahead and knock the ball down, and we're looking at Kelvin Schexnayder.
Trying out with the San Diego Chargers, and I hear they have been impressed with Shakes and hoping to make that jump from the AFL to the NFL and San Diego Chargers. And kind of ironically, it was the San Diego Chargers who also signed his partner Cedric Bonner. Bonner nearly jumping ship as well to play with San Diego. And there's no ruling that out after this season, though. Cedric did commit to finishing this one out with the Arizona Rattlers. Hunky Cooper off the net. Cooper to the 5-yard line. And then he is descended upon by a host of Milwaukee Mustangs. Flags fly once again on the return. 12 seconds to go here until halftime.
Illegal block in the back, number 5, Arizona. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
Cedric Walker, known for his tackling technique, not so much his blocking.
Cedric Walker wants to hit somebody on every play. Then what happens on these return teams? Many times you're getting ready to hit and block a person that's running down on the kickoff team, and suddenly at the last second they just turn their back on you for no reason. You hit them in the back, and you're going to get flagged for an illegal block.
And that was O'Neal that he hit from behind. 12 seconds to go for Bonner. See if he can get any more points on the board before halftime. Bonner whips it. Whips it good to Hunky Cooper, and he plastered against the wall by O'Neal. 5 seconds to go, and the clock stops. Bonner trying to bring his offense quickly to the line of scrimmage before they start the clock once again. Most likely he'll throw it down onto the turf to try to get the field goal unit out. Rattlers trying to save the timeout here with 5 seconds to go in the second quarter. Bonner, no, he'll go for yardage and then throws it into the stands. 2 seconds to go, and on will come Bjorn Nitmo. You would think, and that's Danny White just turned and made the call.
It's surprising that they ran that play, which took 3 seconds off the clock, and maybe that was the reason why they ran that play, Tom. That rather than just sending off the kickoff or the field goal team with 5 seconds left and possibly giving them an opportunity for a kickoff return, certainly with just 2 seconds left, it's going to take 2 seconds for this ball to travel to the net, which is going to elapse any time in the first half.
This will be a 47-yard attempt by Bjorn Nitmo, the hold by Funderburg. Final play of the first half. 47-yard attempt by Nitmo. Up and wide right. It's live off the net. Lamar Cooper takes it out of bounds, and we have finished the first 2 quarters here at the America West Arena. And the Arizona Rattlers, true to form, the #1 passing offense in the Arena Football League, received 5 passing touchdowns by Cedric Bonner in the first half and take a 44-28 lead into the locker room. We'll be back with our halftime show here on the WB. Rattlers leading 44-28 at the halftime break.
To connect with my clients anytime.
To supply any demand, anywhere.
To go beyond the call.
To make my customers happy.
U.S. West Small Business Group gives you the power.
To connect on a whole new level.
Call now and save on high-speed internet lines.
Bud Light! Out of my way! You crazy! Hi, folks!
With a great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down.
Come on, I'll split it with you!
I'll take $10 on Office Boy.
Make it a Bud Light.
Inevitably, there will come a time in your life when you realize you need a cell phone. And when that time comes, we'll be here.
From the Big Island to the Big Apple, now you can call all 50 states for one low rate with Cellular One's new Total Freedom digital rate plan. Call virtually anywhere, anytime from just $40 per month for 200 digital airtime minutes with an annual agreement. For details, call 888-GO-SELL-1.
When you're looking for value and people who care, come see us at Fry's. We'll always be right there. Count on us. Count on the people. Count on us. Count on the price.
For your favorite cakes, pastries, pies, and breads, shop the bakery at your neighborhood Fry's. They're fresh from the oven.
You can count on us. You can count on us. Count on Fry's.
Kids Club 61 presents Rattler's Tale. Cedric Bonner is back.
Blitz by Jones, knocked away by Gale. Long ball, Bonner looking for the corner. He's got it. Rattler touchdown.
You're just brilliant.
His football brilliance is unmatched.
So having a veteran quarterback back there that knows the game and knows our offense, I mean, the value is immeasurable, really is.
And not to diminish anything that Donnie or Chad May did last year, but I think if we had said last year, we don't have any road playoff games. I think we beat the Arena Bowl.
But last August, when Ced returned to the Rattlers, his timing was in a bit of a fog.
He had a hard time shaking off the big field and is still struggling with shaking off the big field. The NFL's been a bad influence on him. I'm never going to send him there again.
He's still trying to settle back into the small field game, and every week it gets more familiar and more comfortable to me. So it's it's a learning experience, and even as long as I played, it's still a learning experience.
Bonner is definitely at home here in Arizona, and the Rattlers are his family.
It's just kind of a weird situation. It's just family setting, and everyone cares about not only what you do on the field, but what you're doing in your real life. So it's actually a good situation.
And a lot can be said about the relationship he has developed with his coach.
There's a lot of mutual respect. I got a lot of respect for Ced. He's worked hard. He's come a long ways.
I learned, not only football skills, but life skills from him.
Hopefully he's got the same kind of respect for me as a coach, and hopefully together we make a pretty good team.
Bonner's timing is coming around, and his teammates are taking notice of his killer instincts.
He's great at being a point guard, getting the ball into the hands of the player that needs the ball. He knows who's having a good game, like Randy Gatewood as of lately has been playing really well. And that's getting the touchdowns. And Ced knows that. I recognize that as a veteran player. Go to the guy that's getting it done right now.
Once a guy gets going, it's just like in the NBA or anything like that. You keep feeding them until they get shut down.
That's the quiet assassin. Doesn't say nothing, just does his job, enjoys it, kills you with his left arm.
Touchdown Rattlers!
He's a team leader, and he knows when and when not to do something.
Hold it to pose. Hold up. Hold up.
Cedric Bonner is focused on winning, and he's loving every minute of it.
I get awestruck when I even think about it, that someone's walking around with, my jersey on or something like that. It's something that I never dreamed of in my wildest dreams. I just want to keep trying to continue to make him proud and proud to wear that jersey.
That's your Rattlers Tale. I'm Mark Goldberg. Rattlers Tale has been brought to you by Kids Club 61.
Checker is your one-stop brake shop. Now get $3 off machining of drums and rotors with purchase of any Ray Bestis brake products. More brands, more parts. Checker, the place to start for parts.
Past mistakes threaten a young romance.
He's been in trouble.
So have I.
And a father-daughter relationship.
You're never going to trust me.
You're not being fair.
Neither are you.
Seventh heaven. Then
Max Evans is staring at you again.
innocence lost.
You couldn't just let her die.
Relive the moment the journey began.
Don't say anything, please.
Roswell, the first episode after Seventh Heaven.
Monday night at 7 on WB61 and Cox Cable Channel 6.
Hey, grab me a Bud Light. Oh, no! Would you look at that? It's only one left. Really? Sorry, buddy. What are you doing? You all done?
Oh, yeah. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down.
I've got an idea.
Make it a Bud Light.
If house A costs this much, and house B costs this much, how much will I save if I buy house A?
Well, honey, it depends.
At Bank of America, our people ask questions, even at home.
This is your first home or your retirement dream home? Say on House B, you have one of our shorter-term mortgages. You can build equity faster, pay it off faster.
They find solutions that fit you.
And maybe save enough money to buy, say, Lake House C. Assuming, of course, that...
Dad, you're doing it again.
I am? Oh.
Bank of America. Let's talk.
Arizona Rattlers leading the Mustangs 44-28 here at halftime. Tom Leander back with Doug Plank. And Doug, we saw a little bit of everything in the first half, which is just like arena football. A lot of offense, which we expected from Arizona, coming in with that top passing offense, and not much defense from Milwaukee.
No, Milwaukee has done everything that we thought. They jump off sides, a lot of penalties downfield. But the offenses and the returns, the special returns, have been very impressive, both with both Coopers, Lamar and Hunky Cooper.
Take a look at our quarterback comparison, Cedric Bonner, Kevin McDougal. And very interesting when you see McDougal's numbers. He's only had 9 attempts. He's completed 6, 4 of those going for a touchdown.
That's an incredible ratio when you're only throwing 6 passes and you're having 4 touchdowns as a result. Statistically, as far as percentage is concerned, completion percentage, those two quarterbacks are about the same. But Cedric Bonner has more opportunities running the Rattler offense versus the Mustang offense.
So they were true to their numbers. Bonner coming in the number 2 rated quarterback in the league. McDougal, number 4. As we move along to the halftime statistics, you look at it, touchdowns versus possessions, 4 of 7 for Milwaukee. The Rattlers, 6 of 8. They had that one turnover where they had the ball first and goal from the 5-yard line. Ron Moran coughed it up, or else that number would have been even higher.
Milwaukee had to be wondering when they were ever going to stop a team on a possession. They finally did it tonight, but I think it's important looking at the bottom on those different receivers. Milwaukee has decided to go with their 3 regular receivers, Riley and Cooper, but instead the Rattlers have been able to spread the football around much better.
That's right, 8 different targets for the Arizona Rattlers. We have our WB Fantastic Plays on the way next. Rattlers leading 44-28.
The only thing that comes close to the thrill of driving a new Dodge is the fun of getting a great deal on one. Now do both during the Dodge Drive into Summer event, where select customers can spend just $319 a month to lease this 2-wheel drive Durango with 3rd-row seating, plus best-in-class power and room. The thrill of driving, the fun of a great deal, and your timing couldn't be better during the Dodge Drive into Summer event, going on now at your friendly Dodge dealer.
To download an entire warehouse.
To network.
To network with my entire supply chain.
To build as fast as I think.
To empower my customers.
U.S. West Small Business Group gives you the power
To connect on a whole new level.
Call now and save on high-speed data lines.
On Cleopatra 2525, the team goes topside.
Get over here.
To track down their airborne enemy. They never expected to find this.
My sister.
Then, on Jack of All Trades, an unlikely assassin targets the bigwigs, and things get hairy for Jack.
Prepare to die.
Cleopatra 2525 and Jack of All Trades.
Tonight at 10 on WB61 and Cox Cable Channel 6.
A bomber hits Manhattan, and 2 cops could be his next victims.
It's just a matter of time. Very little time before I take down my next target.
But when JC lets him slip through his fingers, the countdown begins.
You have 10 minutes from when I hang up. No evacuations, or the place goes sky high.
New York Undercover.
Tonight at 11 on WB61 and Cox Cable Channel 6.
With the Rattlers on top 44-28, time to look at our very heavy highlights. 10 of them coming your way. Our WB Fantastic Plays from the first half, starting with the first play of the game, Hunky Cooper.
This is what arena football is all about. The first play of the game, Hunky Cooper came with his game face on, knowing he was going to have a battle with Lamar Cooper on kickoff returns.
Back on the Mustangs, McDougal to Compton, then Bonner to Gatewood.
First catch of the game for Randy Gatewood, goes for a touchdown.
McDougal answers to Sean Riley, but then Bonner going back-to-back with Maurice Bryant.
Maurice Bryant, you can understand why Guidry was so upset with him later in the game. He was catching touchdowns on him all night long.
Bryant already with over 100 yards receiving here in the game. Randy Gatewood has a couple of touchdown catches, but McDougal, 6 completions, 4 were touchdowns.
I'm impressed with McDougal. He has stood back there in the face of a lot of pressure and found open receivers. And Bob McMillan, what an athletic catch.
Jeff Savage rounding out the highlights with that tipped pass that he took to the zone And it's 44-28 as we head to the third quarter here from the America West Arena. We'll kick things off in the second half right after this.
You don't have to score a touchdown to be a VIP with the Arizona Rattlers. Thanks to Fry's Food and Drug Stores, Rattler fans can score 2 $9 seats for the price of 1 for any Rattlers home game. Just stop by your neighborhood Fry's Food and Drug Store to pick up a discount coupon. Take it to the ticket office at the America West Arena and boom, you're a Fry's VIP. It's that easy. Fry's Food and Drug Stores and the Arizona Rattlers. Count on us.
He is unlike any man who ever lived.
I am immortal.
You cannot die. His mission to protect the world from an eternity of evil.
We must fight until only one remains.
And battle for the ultimate power of the universe. Academy Award winner Sean Connery is the master of the blade.
You have no knowledge whatsoever of your potential.
Christopher Lambert is the last of the immortals. There can be only one Highlander.
Sunday night at 11 on WB61 and Cox Cable Channel 6.
It can't be! It can't be!
Oh, yes, it is.
It's the WB61 Three Stooges Marathon.
I'm Tim. And I'm Mark from 93.3 KDKB. Hey, join us on WB61 Memorial Day for 5 action-packed hours of Stooge Mania.
We're colossal. We're stupendous. We're terrific. We're even superlative.
Hey, quiet, you guys.
It's the WB61 Three Stooges Memorial Day Marathon starting at 9 a.m. Got it?
I got it.
Want to be a football hero with a family? Exxon Family Nights with the Arizona Rattlers. A family of 4 can get 4 tickets to the game, 4 delicious John Morrell hot dogs, and 4 Cokes for the low, low price of only $45. To score big on this offer, stop by your local Exxon and pick up a Family Night coupon. Coupons need to be redeemed at the ticket office at the America West Arena. Exxon Family Night. It's a touchdown for the whole family. Kids Club 61 presents Kids Correspondent.
Hi, my name is Chelsea, and I'm here for Kids Club 61. My question is for Cedric Bonner. What made you come back last year for the playoffs and return for the whole season this year after spending time with the NFL?
Chelsea, that's a great question. The reason I decided to come back to play arena football is just for the love that I have for the game and love for the guys that I'm around when I play here. Hunky, was Calvin, but Calvin's gone now, but Randy Gatewood and Cedric Walker, Bob McMillan, those guys that I've spent years with, developing relationships with, and just makes it that much easier for me to come back and enjoy myself.
Kids Correspondent has been brought to you by Kids Club 61.
And one more touchdown for said Bomber, and he will have 300 for his career. 72 points put on the board by the teams combined in the first half.
Although Bonner was putting up good numbers early in the year, he had too many interceptions. And in years past, in some of his real successful seasons with the Rattlers, he was on a ratio of 10 touchdowns for every interception thrown. And with tonight, he may very well be beyond that. I mean, coming into tonight's game, he was running at about 9-1, 9 touchdowns for every interception. And I believe with the pace that he's gone tonight, he will eclipse that ratio of 10-1, which is unbelievable for a quarterback to have that kind of success.
Milwaukee averaging over 12 yards per play, and that's because of the big play action by said Bonner's adversary, Kevin McDougal.
When you have receivers like he has, you know, especially with Riley having the capacity to run consistently 4-4s or less, gives you great advantage deep on the deep patterns to be able to run away from defenders.
You go back to what Danny White told us about Cedric Bonner, too, that he is once again readjusting to the indoor game, and that was one of the reasons why Danny saw Seth struggle in the early going of this season. And we mentioned that Bonner's really now just starting to reach his peak, and well, that's good news for Danny White and the Rattlers as they head toward yet another playoff appearance. They've been in the playoffs 8 consecutive seasons, and you throw out that first year of arena football.
Well, I talked about it earlier in the game. When you're a quarterback in the NFL, throwing an out route isn't a big deal. But when you're on a field such as arena football, it's almost impossible to run deep out routes because there's no room to work with, and you have to throw the ball so hard to be successful on a play.
That's because Bonner had played with the Falcons, the Cardinals, and the Chargers over the last year. Here comes Lamar Cooper. He has a lane down the sidelines. Cooper! Touchdown! He is in for 6. He was sidestepping the sideline, and Lamar Cooper takes it the distance for the 4th time this season.
Lamar Cooper I don't believe he had anybody touch him on this play, and part of being a good returner is having a team that's willing to block. And you'll see that not one Rattler defender was able to get a hand on him until the very end, where I don't know if it was Nitmo that just tried to push him out of bounds. But coming up through the crux of that defense, he went untouched.
So now, following the fumble by Ron Moran, and now the opening kickoff taken back by Milwaukee, they have scored 14 unanswered points. And what appeared to be an Arizona blowout is now a 9-point lead. You cannot blink. You cannot turn your head in arena football. Things can change so quickly.
Till Tuesday at the Room Store, it's our gigantic Memorial Day sale. Hurry in and get huge Memorial Day savings and get no money down, no interest, and no payments till Memorial Day 2001. Hurry and save on this 8-way hand-tied 100% top-grain butter soft leather sofa in your choice of rich bone or luxurious black. Only $8.97. Get huge Memorial Day savings till Tuesday and get no money down, no interest, and no payments till Memorial Day 2001 only at the Room Store.
At the Room Store.
The only thing that comes close to the thrill of driving a new Dodge is the fun of getting a great deal on one. Now do both during the Dodge Drive into Summer event, where you can make low monthly payments on a 2001 Ram Quad Cab thanks to this very affordable lease rate. The thrill of driving, the fun of a great deal, and your timing couldn't be better during the Dodge Drive into Summer event going on now at your friendly Dodge dealer.
To connect with my clients anytime.
To supply any demand, anywhere.
To go beyond the call.
To make my customers happy.
U.S. West Small Business Group gives you the power.
To connect on a whole new level.
Call now and save on high-speed internet lines.
Well, it's fitting that Hunky Cooper started the game with the kickoff return for a touchdown, and we start the second half with Lamar Cooper taking it the distance 57 yards for the score. How about this deal from Exxon? For the Rattlers home game this Thursday against San Jose, you can get 4 tickets, 4 Cokes, 4 dogs. John Morrell hot dogs for only $45, the entire package. Pick up your family night coupon at any Valley Exxon station.
Lamar Cooper, what an entertaining player, though. I mean, to be able to successfully run the kind of returns that he has, and I go back to the last time these teams met in Milwaukee when the Mustangs won 31-28. It was decided. The deciding touchdown was a kickoff, a field goal return by Lamar Cooper, 56 yards, which ended up being the deciding touchdown.
He now has 177 return yards already. Here comes Hunky Cooper. Can he match Lamar? Hunky, he doesn't have a whole lot of room along the sidelines, and is popped against the board. He is drywalled as applied by the Milwaukee Mustangs special teams. Hugh Hunter there on the stop, along with a host of teammates.
Hugh Hunter has a long way to go in the offseason. He lives in Anchorage, Alaska. He's a counselor up there, but Hunky Cooper just gets drilled and driven into the out-of-bounds board here. And, oh, my. I mean, number one, Hugh Hunter, almost 300 pounds. He just put his helmet down and just drove Hunky. Almost became a mosquito smashed over there on those out-of-bound boards.
Hunter jumps offside, so it's a freebie for Bonner. Whips it. Incomplete. Maurice Bryant with the attempt on the sliding reception, but he couldn't put his hands on it, and Milwaukee will be flagged once again for jumping off sides, and it was Hugh Hunter.
This is so frustrating as a defensive back also. You do your job, you break up a play,
On Milwaukee.
and it gets back to having someone jump off sides. Hunter's still all fired up for hitting Hunky Cooper in the out-of-bound boards. You can see him emphatically motioning to his coach over there on the sideline, but this team has to lead arena football in offsides. I mean, to see the amount of times consistently that they're able to be drawn off sides really is a lack of concentration on focusing on the football.
And Hugh Hunter's not used to being under 500 after playing with Nashville last season. Trying to bring a winning attitude here to Milwaukee. Cedric Bonner completes it to Gatewood, and he's inside the 15-yard line, down at the 13. So Gatewood, who has 2 touchdown receptions here tonight, has Arizona knocking on the door once again, and still down is Teron O'Neill.
What's surprising, too, O'Neill's getting up injured. It looks like his right hip. But he's considered to have the best man-to-man skills on this team, and Randy Gatewood is just taking him to school, making a nice catch there and then turning up field for an additional 5 yards.
You mentioned Milwaukee defenders like to anticipate and gamble, and they get burned an awful lot.
They certainly do, and it's not just in tonight's game. Looking at the previous games, going back the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've never seen receivers that are open as much as they are against this secondary, because they are so quick to take the initial fake by either the wide receiver or even looking in the backfield, watching the quarterback.
O'Neal injured on the play, still down on the ground as he finally wrapped up and was hit from the side by Hunky Cooper. So Hunky trying to lay a late block on O'Neal, and he took it right on the hip.
No, he hit O'Neal right on that right hip. He came across with that right shoulder, and it's no wonder O'Neal's getting up very slowly. I mean, Hunky Cooper just laid the wood to him right on that right hip.
O'Neal, who spent some time on the practice squad with the Jacksonville Jaguars of the NFL, now is on his feet. Still a little woozy.
Well, he's not really a fragile guy. I mean, he's 6'2", 200 pounds, so he's bigger and taller. Weighs much more than many of the other defensive backs in arena football, but when you're going against players like Hunky Cooper, and that may have very well been just what needed. Had Randy Gatewood been able to sustain a little bit more balance on that play, or maybe break through free with that tackle, that block coming over by Hunky Cooper might have been enough to spring him.
13:03 to go here in the third quarter. The Rattlers lead is 9. We go back to that turnover to end the first half, and conceivably Arizona could have gone into the locker room, Doug, leading 51-31. If they convert first and goal from the 5-yard line, they have a 20-point lead at halftime. Instead, how quickly things change. Milwaukee scores on that tip pass that finally wound up in the hands of Savage, and then the opening kickoff here to the second half.
Turnovers make such a big difference, and they've really haunted this Milwaukee team. That last catch, we saw some of the graphics for Randy Gatewood. That last catch by Randy Gatewood was the first time tonight that he caught a ball that he didn't make a touchdown. Those previous two, which we were able to see at the end of the first half on the highlights, were the only 2 catches. Both were touchdowns in the first half.
Gatewood and Bryant split wide to the left of Bonner. Hunky Cooper wide right. It's Bryant on the fly. Bonner, quick hit over to Hunky Cooper. Hunky ducks the tackler, and then Guidry finally shoves him out of bounds. And Oscar Sturgis to the rescue there along the boards for Hunky Cooper.
Quick screen design. Maurice Bryant was over there to try to block Riley, who closed on the ball. Sean Riley, we talked about his speed before. He closed so quickly, he was able to get to Hunky Cooper before Maurice Bryant was able to block him. But Cooper, being the returner that he is, he's just not going to go down. I mean, you have to wrap him up and pull him down to the ground. You're not going to knock him off his feet with a simple blow.
Pickup of 6 yards, so it's 2nd and 4 for Bonner. From the 7-yard line of Milwaukee. Again, it's Bryant on the fly. Bonner looking over the middle for Gatewood. Whips it. Gatewood drops it at the 1-yard line, and they'll call it incomplete. It appeared that he had possession, but once he hit the turf, the ball was jarred loose.
Randy Gatewood is not going to argue the call, so it must have been an incompletion. But Bonner put the ball right where it had to be, low and inside, where Gatewood was the only person. But you have to give some credit to their newly acquired John Fisher, was able to get his right hand in there and disrupt Gatewood just enough so that that ball touched the AstroTurf.
Very close to being a fumble as well. So now it's 3rd and 4 for Cedric Bonner. Looking for career touchdown pass number 300. finds Hunky Cooper. First down yardage at the 2-yard line. So now the Arizona offense will have it first and goal from the 2. Coverage there by Sean Riley.
Sean Riley felt that he did everything he could on that. The ball was thrown low by Bonner, and Cooper went down low to get it. It was a complimentary route on the left side, the open side of the field. Randy Gatewood ran the inside route. You see Hunky Cooper cut to the outside underneath. And it was too much of a distance for Riley to make up after the ball was thrown. And Hunky Cooper concentrated, made sure that he had the reception before he went out of bounds.
Great camera angle, too. The handoff to Hunky Cooper. Cooper into the end zone for 6, but a flag is down at the 2-yard line. Hunky Cooper has scored rushing, receiving, kick returns. He's even thrown one in for a touchdown.
Illegal formation on the defense. Not 2-point stand. Decline. Touchdown.
And Hunky is good to go on another Rattler 6-pack.
Hunky Cooper is the spark plug of this team, not necessarily just in scoring points anymore like he did early in his career, although he scored plenty of touchdowns. But I think he's the emotional leader, and he's the glue that holds this team together.
And you talk about glue. Last time the Rattlers had a running play inside the 5-yard line, the ball came loose for Ron Moran. Instead, Danny White goes with his man who has hands of glue in Hunky Cooper, and he was solid up the middle. But Bjorn Nitmo misses the point after. So with 10:03 to go in the third quarter, it's the Rattlers 50, Milwaukee 35.
She's propositioning the young guys that you're talking to online.
Out of control. She needs to act like a mother.
Moms are pretending to be their daughters online.
She steals my identity, gets online, talks to all of the guys I talk to. I'll use their name if I want to.
And seducing young men with sexy messages.
You don't need to make me look like a hoe on the computer. They don't know you.
You think you're chatting with me, but it's really mymom.com.
I wish she'd act more like a mom.
Next, Ricky.
Monday afternoon at 5 on WB61.
Checker is your one-stop brake shop. Now get $3 off machining of drums and rotors with purchase of any Ray Bestis brake products. More brands, more parts. Checker, the place to start for parts.
Rattlers leading by 15 here on the WB, and Rattlers football will be back here on WB 61 Saturday, June 10th, when the Rattlers are in Los Angeles against the expansion Avengers. Join Doug and I at 7 o'clock for the Anything Can Happen action of Rattlers football on the WB. Last time, Lamar Cooper took it off the nets, took it all the way, averaging 44 yards a return.
The Rattlers are doing nothing to try to displace Lamar Cooper out of the #1 spot in the Arena League as far as kickoff returns. Either you're talking about touchdowns, I believe that gives them 4 touchdowns for the year. And with that 44-yard average, that definitely is going to solidify that first spot.
And the Rattlers corral him this time. Cedric Walker from behind at the 12-yard line takes him down for his shortest return of the evening.
I found it interesting in that first half. I don't believe they threw the ball one time to Cooper that he was able to make a reception. They had three receivers in the first half that made catches, but I don't believe Cooper was one of those players, so they must be saving him here for the special teams. But I think he works so well with the rest of the team in blocking assignments. I talked about that one return where he was untouched until he got down to the 10-yard line. Great return teams, it's not just one player.
You're right, Cooper not involved in the offense. Third on the team in receptions, though, coming in. Firing it to Riley. McDougal right on the money. Pick up 4 yards.
Cecil Doggett did a smart thing there. He did not allow Riley to get to the outside. He realized that he had help coming to the inside, and he needed to make sure that he protected that out of bounds, not allowing Riley to go down the sideline.
McDougal, the number 4 rated passer in the Arena Football League, now 7 of 10 completions, came in averaging 64%. That's a 70% clip here tonight.
Yeah, Milwaukee's problem certainly are not on defense.
Second down, they'll call it a long 5. Lincoln Coleman in the backfield. McDougal fires deep to Cooper, and Cooper is out of bounds at the 7-yard line. Cecil Doggett there on the coverage, but a little bit late, and that tends to be the case when you talk about the Sean Rileys and the Lamar Coopers. They are so fast.
We talked about their speed all night, but this play was made by the throw. That ball was laid by McDougal right where it had to be. It's difficult to try to run out patterns in arena football, whether you're the outside receiver or even in the slot. Many times you'll see the receivers cut across the field because it gives the opportunity to the quarterback to throw the ball further downfield and give the receiver an ample time to make a catch.
Looks like Doug Plank might be the offensive coordinator. First reception for Lamar Cooper. We were wondering when he'd be involved in the offense. Lincoln Coleman, the former Cowboy, to the 3-yard line of Arizona.
Coleman was the only player on this team that has a Super Bowl ring from the National Football League. And you're right, Tom. We thought we would see a lot more of Coleman earlier in this game, but they decided to go with Savage. And I'm not sure if because of Coleman's the way he came into shape. From the reports that we've heard, he came into shape this year in the best shape that he's ever been in terms of his conditioning.
Coleman, the second leading rusher for the Cowboys back in '94, trailing only Emmitt Smith that season. Compton in motion, the hand to Coleman, and he charges forward for maybe 1 yard.
So the Mustangs coming in at tonight's game were averaging 20 yards rushing per game, and you compare that with just 10 yards as far as the Rattlers are concerned. But the Rattlers, going historically over the past few seasons, they have done very well at stopping teams trying to rush the ball inside the 5-yard line. Be aware of McDougal in this situation, too. He's the second leading rusher in the league from a quarterback perspective. He's picked up 30 yards. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see him try to run.
3rd and goal from the 2. Compton cannot get in. He is denied by the Rattler defense.
They try to have Gary Compton do everything. I'm surprised he hasn't thrown any passes so far tonight. But this is a little bit of a twist here. They try to get Compton in motion, hoping to catch the Rattler defense. And by no surprise, that's Cedric Walker across that line of scrimmage, the first guy to make contact.
Milwaukee trailing by 15, nearing the 6-minute mark here of the 3rd quarter. Will go for it, 4th and goal from the 2. And the Rattler fans are into it. The Rattler defense holds. Arizona Rattler defenders would have none of it.
That was a surprising sequence of plays. I can't believe that Milwaukee didn't try to at least throw one pass. You can see McDougal quickly hands the ball off to Compton, but has nowhere to go. Hunky Cooper appeared to be the first guy across the line of scrimmage. If you look at the defensive line for the Rattlers, they just made a pile up. Darren Kenny at the bottom of that pile, Roscoe Sturgis. Defensive line gave Compton nowhere to go. Then the linebacker, specifically Hunky Cooper, came in for the tackle.
You're right. Not a whole lot of imagination on that final series for Milwaukee once they reached deep into Arizona territory.
That reminded me of one of my college games back at Ohio State, where we just ran.
McDougal over there shaking his head. 4th stop tonight for the Rattler defense. Cedric Bonner steps forward and fires one with nobody in the vicinity in Milwaukee territory. So one of the reasons why Cedric Bonner has gone nearly 1,100 pass attempts without a sack. You'll see right there. He'll just let it go.
Also has one of the most unique helmets in any league, Arena League, NFL, which has holes on the top of the helmet. I was asking him about that one day. He said it's for ventilation. It actually makes the helmet lighter than what would typically be the case, and it also much cooler.
Bonner bringing in the offensive play from Danny White. 4:45 to go here in the 3rd quarter. Quick hit over to Jai Hill, and Jai Hill to the 14-yard line.
I love that matchup. Jai Hill with his size against John Fisher at 5'11", 195 pounds, I'll take that battle anytime. And although Fisher has played very enthused tonight, I guess is the word, when you start matching him up against receivers like a Jai Hill, who just has a natural advantage at 6'3", 210 pounds in height, you have to go with the favor of the size.
First down for the Rattlers. Now Muhammad Oliver with the running start. Bonner whips it. Jai Hill off his hand into the Rattler bench.
It appears that the defensive secondary from Milwaukee is starting to play very conservative. They're maintaining a very large cushion, even for that ball being 15 yards, 10, 15 yards downfield. Fisher that time was well off of Jai Hill. And had Cedric Bonner been able to deliver that ball a little bit lower, it would have been a nice pickup for the Rattlers. And pretty difficult, as I said, to overthrow some of these big receivers like Jai Hill.
Rattlers opening things up with 30 points in that first quarter, and the team's fairly even from then on out. 2nd and 10. Pitch play to Moran. Fumbled last time he had his hands on the ball. This time punishing Milwaukee defenders as he bowls forward for another Rattler first down. Wow, that was a mean stick that he laid on Milwaukee with a full head of steam. And Paul Guidry, one of the chosen few courageous enough to take this kind of a pop.
When you're a defensive back, this is the last thing that you want to see. That time Paul Guidry, the leading tackler on the Mustangs, is only 180 pounds. And as I said, trying to tackle a fullback like Ron Moran that was coming around the corner with a bad attitude like he had, I mean, he's looking at those defensive backs like they're dessert.
So now Bonner with flags down at the line of scrimmage.
Tight end reported too late.
And that's what happened. Not reporting soon enough was either Wendell Gaines or Mark Tucker.
Every play as they come to the offensive line of scrimmage, the end, or who at least is considered the eligible receiver, must signify by putting his arm in the air, giving the officials an opportunity to identify him, as well as the defense.
Yeah, there you see Wendell Gaines. He's not even going to risk it.
He's practicing.
That arm was extended from the time he got back into the huddle to when he finally found himself at the line of scrimmage. Maurice Bryant in motion. 1st and 13. Bonner avoiding another possible sack and throws it away. There on the rush, Terry Grooms along with Hugh Hunter.
The Gaines had nowhere to go. That time Sargent, number 99 from the Mustangs, had a hold of Gaines, and it appeared that they were attempting to run a weak side screen. Difficult to do on the short side of an arena football field. There's very, very little room. And that time their weak side defensive end, Sargent, had nothing to do with it. He maintained contact with Gaines and was not going to let him go.
2nd and 13 for Bonner. Flags are down. Whips it high, deep, and incomplete. Nearest potential receiver was Muhammad Oliver as Bonner took a hit by Young following that pass.
I think Young probably has some of his family,
number 90, Milwaukee,
friends here at the game because he lives in Phoenix in the off season. But he seems like he's making every attempt.
Number 90, Milwaukee, 3-yard penalty, replay, 2nd down.
Terry Grooms, their leading sacker with 2 on the season, called for the offsides, and now it's 2nd and 10.
It's rather frustrating for a coach. You can see Rick Frazier over on the sideline just bent over, very upset. To have his players jump off sides in the manner they are, it's not even as though Bonner is giving them a hard count. They're just jumping off sides.
Hill, Bryant, and Muhammad Oliver, the wideouts for Cedric Bonner, who fires it to Bryant, complete, and then finally wrestled down by Herb Duncan and Paul Guidry.
Herb Duncan, another former Rattler, ended up clocking the fastest 40 time by the Mustangs in their training conditioning camp. They had a very successful career in Phoenix with the Rattlers, known for his very smooth running style that definitely was a deep threat in the mid-90s as far as like 95, 96. 97, he actually was having his best season. He broke his collarbone, and I think it really made it difficult for him to come back from it.
29 career touchdown receptions for Herb Duncan as a Rattler. And still has that speed of his father, Speedy Duncan, who played for the Chargers. Cedric Bonner again avoiding the rush and just throws it past the outstretched arms of Jai Hill. So Cedric, with his arms in the air, looking over at his head coach Danny White, saying, these guys are all over me.
He was wondering why Jai didn't make that catch, and I know Jai is big, but I don't think his reach is quite that long.
End of quarter number 3 here on the WB. It's the Rattlers on top of Milwaukee, 50-35. The fourth and final quarter here from the America West Arena is next.
When you're looking for value and people who care, come see us at Fry's. We'll always be right there. Count on us. Count on the people. Count on us. Count on the price.
For the best selection in meat and seafood, quality farm fresh produce, and VIP prices throughout the store, shop your neighborhood Fry's.
You can count on us. You can count on us. Count on Fry's.
$32.75.
I didn't bring my purse.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down. Make it a Bud Light.
Did look good on her.
The only thing that comes close to the thrill of driving a new Dodge is the fun of getting a great deal on one. Now do both during the Dodge Drive into Summer event, where Intrepid, featuring a whole different approach to styling, performance, and innovation, comes with this surprisingly low $289 a month lease. The thrill of driving, the fun of a great deal, and your timing couldn't be better during the Dodge Drive into Summer event, going on now at your friendly Dodge dealer.
I'm Al McCoy of the Phoenix Suns for News Radio 620 KTAR. With my busy schedule, I need news right now. That's why 620 KTAR is my station for up-to-the-minute news, sports, weather, Detour Dan traffic, and local talk that hits you where you live. 620 KTAR is really on it. They keep me and you informed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So when you need to know, KTAR is a slam dunk. Shazam!
After the point barrage in the first half, things slowed down quite substantially in the third quarter with Milwaukee outscoring the Rattlers 7-6 in that third period. Rattlers and the Tobacco Education Prevention Program want to help Rattler fans kick the tobacco habit. Before Thursday's game against San Jose this week, turn in a pack of cigarettes or chewing tobacco, and that will result in a pair of tickets to the game. Need help staying tobacco-free? Call the Arizona Smokers Helpline, 1-800-556-6222. And also be careful, if you're walking around the arena and you've got a pair of smokes in your back pocket, you might get knocked out. So Bonner on the snap.
This is going to be close. It's a game of inches. And this will either be successful conversion or moving the ball up there within inches. Yes, Skaves a first down.
So it was 4th and 1, and Cedric just enough yardage to get that first down. And that's the key possession. This is the key possession for the Rattlers. Leading by 15, you give up a possession, and now all of a sudden, Milwaukee can come back with a touchdown of their own and being just a possession
well,
away
you
to take the
discussed
lead.
how slow this third quarter was. I mean, really neither team had any sort of momentum. And a play like that where you could stop the opposition, big swing in momentum.
Bonner lobs it up and high for Kelvin Ingram, and he'll be dreaming about that one tonight.
Kelvin Ingram made the mistake of trying to run with your arms fully extended. I think he was so excited, and Bonner maybe could have made a better throw, but look at Bonner getting drilled to the turf that time by number 91, Hugh Hunter. He had no time to throw the ball, and you see Ingram at the other end trying to grab it like it was a bar of soap in the tub. Just slipped out of his fingers.
There is a reason why he is listed as an offensive lineman, defensive lineman, and not a wideout. Kelvin Ingram could have and probably should have had that one from Bonner. So it's 2nd and 10 for Arizona. This time it's Hunky Cooper on the fly. Bonner looking corner of the end zone. Maurice Bryant. Touchdown, Arizona. Money time in the corner of the end zone. And it's career touchdown pass number 300 for Cedric Bonner.
It's interesting how Maurice Bryant manages to get the jump involved in every one of his catches. And Rick Frazier down the sideline with a lot of indigestion at this time. I mean, he's definitely in need of Maalox after this game. But look at the effort and concentration by Bryant to somehow hold on to that ball with his left arm, and he held it on his left hip and was able to keep it from hitting the AstroTurf before he landed in the end zone.
Nitmo, true and through at the 12:37 mark of the fourth quarter, and the Rattlers' lead is extended to 22. Third touchdown reception tonight for Mo Bryant. Oh, he is art in motion.
Inevitably, there will come a time in your life when you realize you need a cell phone. And when that time comes, we'll be here.
From the Big Island to the Big Apple, now you can call all 50 states for one low rate with Cellular One's new Total Freedom Digital Rate Plan. Call virtually anywhere, anytime from just $40 per month for 200 digital airtime minutes with an annual agreement. For details, call 888-GO-SELL-1.
Till Tuesday at the Room Store, it's our gigantic Memorial Day sale. Hurry in and get huge Memorial Day savings and get no money down, no interest and no payments till Memorial Day 2001. Save on this rustic panel bed, only $197. This antique banister bed, only $297. Or this solid pine and metal bed, only $397. Get huge Memorial Day savings till Tuesday and get no money down, no interest and no payments till Memorial Day 2001, only at the Room Store.
At the Room Store.
12:37 to go here in the fourth quarter, and the Rattlers with a little more breathing room, up by 22 on Milwaukee. Take a look at the possession breakdown of tonight's game, and this is what it is all about in arena football, taking and making the most of your possessions. And the Arizona Rattlers, 7 touchdowns, field goal attempt, and only been stopped 1 time, while Milwaukee has been ramrodded 4 times this evening.
Milwaukee just has to be shaking their head that they are unsuccessful, and it hasn't just been in tonight's game, it's been in previous weeks where their defense, as I said earlier, Milwaukee was always known for their defenses, their ability to stop teams. Yet this season, it just seems like the wheels have come off the cart, and especially the frustration for Rick Frazier, having had his background in coaching on the defensive side of the football.
We saw Cedric Bonner now with 6 touchdown passes here tonight. Lamar Cooper, he has been lightning here tonight, and he is pushed out of bounds by Darren Kenny.
Lamar Cooper even was congratulating Darren Kenny on his way back to the huddle. Hey, not a bad tackle, big guy. You did real good.
Yeah, more of a push than a tackle, but hey, it was effective. Just get that scatterbug out of bounds.
He is so quick, and I think he was frustrated. I don't think he realized that he was that close.
Yep.
You can see him acknowledging the effort by Darren Kenny in forcing him out of bounds, but
I think he was visualizing what move he wanted to make. He didn't really feel Darren was a threat. So here comes McDougal and the Milwaukee Mustangs. Again, McDougal taking over for Todd Hamill, the all-time leading passer in Arena Football League history in terms of passing yardage. And there he connects with Gary Compton, who's in the top 5 all-time AFL receiving. But it really was an interesting situation. Todd Hamill, again, free agent after last season, went and signed with Carolina, couldn't pass the physical, but still Milwaukee wasn't set on McDougal. They actually acquired Donnie Davis from the Arizona Rattlers. But Donnie Davis could not come to terms with this Milwaukee team, so the job was handed to McDougal. Donnie Davis, by the way, spoke to him this week, and he is off to the CFL. Gary Compton makes the reception as McDougal completes it to Compton for another Milwaukee first down.
When the going gets tough, normally Milwaukee will go to Gary Compton. That hasn't been much of a case tonight because there's been more speedier receivers But you see Compton run a simple stop route, turn around, very sure-handed tackler. And he's very near the top, within the top 5 in all-arena league stats in terms of reception, touchdowns. Gary Compton, very confident, consistent player.
First and 10 from the 12-yard line. McDougal flushed out of the pocket, throws it up, and Doggett had a beat on it, but it falls incomplete. Cecil Doggett looking for his 4th interception of the season. Flag is down at the 10-yard line.
This is a flanker screen where they run Compton in motion.
Pass interference. Number 2, Milwaukee.
His job is to come over and block the outside defensive back, Cedric Walker, that time. You can imagine being locked up on your man and suddenly having a receiver come over and block you, especially somebody as the size of Compton at 6'2", 205 pounds.
Replay first down.
This is a play I'm sure the Rattlers anticipated. They ran this play 7 times last week against the Iowa Barnstormers, and teams aren't normally going to change their plays that work for them. They were very successful with this play last week.
So it will be first down and 18 from the 20-yard line of Arizona. Milwaukee been flagged 10 times here tonight. McDougal to the corner. Compton trying to make a one-handed grab a la McMillan, but he's pounded to the boards by Cecil Doggett, and it falls incomplete.
That shows you why it's so difficult to try to complete that pass. That was a timing route, and you run out of room to run. That time it was a complimentary route. Compton runs downfield, breaks to the outside, and you can see a little bit of apprehension on his part, realizing that the sidelines were quickly coming up. And I'm sure that he broke stride rather than try to catch that ball.
You wouldn't expect that from a player who's now in his 9th season in arena football, but he did feel the presence of that wall. Second and 18 for McDougal. Screen play to Hugh Hunter. Incomplete. We saw Kelvin Ingram not able to pull down a possible touchdown reception. This time, the eligible receiver, the eligible lineman for Milwaukee, Hugh Hunter, and a little deep on the lob by McDougal.
Somebody has to get with those linemen, Tom, and tell them when they're running to the ball, don't have your arms out. Only stretch your arms out at the last second. It's interesting watching these linemen running down the field trying to make the catch. Their arms are already fully extended. Try running with your hands completely extended from your body. Not an easy thing to do.
What do you call those, alligator arms? Especially when you know there might be a defender ready to put the pop on. 3rd and 18 for Milwaukee. McDougal looking for Riley. Touchdown, Riley! And McDougal laid it in there perfectly. I am impressed with this Kevin McDougal. First full year of action in arena football, and he has some poise, a strong arm, and unbelievable accuracy at times.
Perfectly thrown ball. I'm just surprised they didn't use Riley more in the offseason. Cecil Doggett always tries to undercut on the pass routes. He cuts underneath. And you'll see him here. He's cutting underneath, but many times the receiver will get lost behind him. And if there's room to work, the ball can be overthrown very easily over the outstretched hands of Cecil Doggett as it was on that last play.
Steve Viditek knocks on the extra point. Sean Riley now with 3 touchdown receptions on the evening. 8:23 to go. Milwaukee down 15.
To download an entire warehouse.
To network.
To network with my entire
supply
chain.
To build as fast as I think.
To empower my customers.
U.S. West Small Business Group gives you the power
To connect on a whole new level.
Call now and save on high-speed data lines.
Has anybody seen my checkbook?
At Bank of America, we think your checking account should fit you perfectly. So we ask the right questions. Do you like to bank on your PC?
What?
At an ATM? In person? Maybe you're looking for an account that saves money and rewards you, like our Advantage Checking.
What?
Point is, we'll find the solution that fits you, even if you can't find it yourself. Bank of America. Let's talk.
Arizona Rattlers leading 57-42. Truly Nolan with our stinger of the game, and it's the hitman, Cedric Walker, putting the pop on Savage, who is turning and churning, and then finally pile-driven by Walker and forcing a fumble.
Sometimes when you're running at somebody, your intention is to hit them with your shoulder or your helmet and try to, deliver as much of a blow as you can. But a lot of times you get the actual point of contact, they fall down, so you have to use any part of your body you can. That time, Walker just threw his body into Savage and forced that fumble, and I'm not even so sure his knee, might not have actually made contact on the ball and forced it out.
Viditek, no thoughts of an onside kick just yet, and the ball carries off the iron. Trying to track it down is Bryant, but he loses it. It's Fisher coming up with it for Milwaukee inside the 5-yard line of Arizona. They designed this game to make it unpredictable. And this play will show you exactly what their intentions were when they drew up a game plan for arena football.
There is no way that Hunky Cooper was able to catch this ball. Bryant should realize that the most important thing is to get control of the football first before you try to run with it. And I'm surprised that he just didn't try to just huddle the football in his chest between his arms. You see the ball there careen off the post, metal post, and Bryant looked a little apprehensive in going for the football, creating a turnover.
So it's first and goal from the 4 for McDougal over the middle. Touchdown, Herb Duncan. Here comes the pineapple top. Oh, we saw it 29 times when he was a member of the Rattlers. And now Herb Duncan, with the touchdown reception, has brought Milwaukee to within 9.
The manner in which these nets are designed with the metal cross members, they create situations many times which were exactly like we just saw. A lot of times the ball would get caught up in the net, but this time Herb Duncan just came down, settled down right across the goal line for an easy touchdown.
Viditek making it an 8-point game. And Herb Duncan with his 3rd touchdown reception for Milwaukee this season. And all of a sudden, with 7:24 to go, Danny White is staring at a 57-49 game.
I'm sure that he's never anticipated it.
Till Tuesday at the Room Store, it's our gigantic Memorial Day sale. Hurry in and get huge Memorial Day savings and get no money down, no interest, and no payments till Memorial Day 2001. Save on this pillow top sofa only $3.97. This plush Southwest sofa only $4.97. Or this luxurious contemporary sofa only $5.97. Get huge Memorial Day savings till Tuesday and get no money down, no interest, and no payments till Memorial Day 2001 only at the Room Store.
7:24 to go in this one. Milwaukee trailing by 8. Thanks to Fry's Food and Drug Store, you can score 2 $9 seats for the price of 1 to any Rattlers home game. You can pick up your discount coupon at any Fry's Food and Drug, take it to the America West Arena ticket office, and you will be in on this VIP deal. Fry's and the Arizona Rattlers. Herb Duncan became famous for his little pineapple top he'd rip off after every touchdown catch with the Rattlers. The former NAU star, who still lives in Scottsdale and celebrating this one, had some of his ex-teammates over for the barbecue last night and was a little unhappy, as I spoke to him before the game, about his, I don't know if you'd call it misuse, but just not being used enough in this Milwaukee offense. He had 6 receptions coming into this game and would like to be much more involved in that Mustang offensive scheme.
Well, he's one player you don't want to get in a fight with either. He has a black belt in Taekwondo and certainly Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so he definitely has the ability to defend himself.
Rick Frazier knows that. Might want to get him more involved in the offense. And here comes Hunky Cooper, looking for his 2nd return for a touchdown tonight, and he body slams into Viditek. They give each other a little complimentary hug, and Arizona will take over in Milwaukee territory.
Hunky Cooper always seems to end up against the kicker on most of these kickoff returns, but I think one of the valuable assets of having a kicker like Mike Viditek back there, because he's not your normal kicker in terms of athletic size. You can see he's a big kid, able to sustain a good hold on Hunky Cooper and manage to get him down on the ground.
Sometimes I think Hunky relishes jamming into the kicker. Bonner, quick strike to Hunky Cooper. Hunky still going along the sidelines. They finally rule him out of bounds. Pick up approximately 7 yards.
Many defensive schemes are designed so that the weak side defensive back is supposed to maintain a lot of cushion on the weak side receiver and help out on inside patterns from the open side of the field. That normally, that pass pattern is almost always open back to the short side for a nice game.
Hunky goes out of bounds, but again, the clock continues to roll here in arena football. 6:25 and counting. 2nd and 2. Bonner whips it and whips it good for the first down. Maurice Bryant. And it's an Arizona Rattler first down.
Same pattern as run earlier. Many times you'll see Danny White do this. If the play works, he'll come back with the very same play. If you see Bonner over there talking to Bryant, make sure after you make the catch, don't try to do too much. Just get down on the ground. He had enough yardage for the first down. The worst thing here would be for a turnover. See Bonner set up quickly. Look at the open side of the field and gun that ball back to Bryant. And he was telling him try to hold on and tuck that ball away. This ball looked like it actually came loose there at the last second.
Maurice Bryant again up over the 100-yard mark, 133 receiving yards. First down for Bonner. Whips it into the end zone. Randy Gatewood makes a spectacular grab. How did he come up with that one? Randy Gatewood, double trouble in the zone. Another six-pack for the Rattler offense.
That was an incredible throw and catch by Gatewood. How many? Gatewood only has 1 or 2 catches tonight. The word for touchdowns. That Bonner was able to sprint out of the pocket to his left-hand side, delivered that football low, where only Gatewood can make that catch on a diving effort. And it was tremendous coverage by number 1, John Fisher.
If John Fisher had been covering any more tightly, they would have been Siamese twins. He couldn't do a better job defending that pass play, and touchdown, Bonner to Randy Gatewood. 7 touchdown passes now for Bonner. And Randy has caught 3 of them. Talk about whipping it and whipping it good into your living room on the WB.
Make room for the new Mucho Grande Nachos, only at Taco Bell. It's freaky deaky big, crazy butt bumping big. A stone cold mucho macho monster that will rock your little world. You need to call a friend, bring a friend, ooh, make a friend, because you're gonna need backup. New Mucho Grande Nachos, only at Taco Bell.
Mucho, baby.
Doug, that's a great line during the break. You just said a quarterback should not even think of throwing a pass like that when his man is covered so tightly.
No, you watched it. That was a video game. You would have just had to turn the ball over there on downs when the guy's been that close. I mean, Cedric Bonner must have tremendous confidence in Randy Gatewood, feeling he was going to go out there, but Cedric Bonner having another incredible evening tonight. Those 7 touchdowns. And I realize Milwaukee has been victimized by some touchdowns in the past weeks, but some of the throws he's made tonight, you know, and speaking about that last one in particular, what a tremendous effort.
Cedric said in that interview with the kid correspondent at halftime that players like Randy Gatewood were brought back to the Arena Football League. He did have that taste in the NFL with the Falcons, the Cardinals, the Chargers. But what would he rather be doing right now? Holding a clipboard with an Atlanta Falcons cap on or throwing BBs like that to Randy Gatewood?
What makes it great about arena football is you're in game situations, actual live people trying to bang you up and be under pressure to try to make those throws.
4:42 to go here in the 4th quarter. And nice little visitor, the guy with the white shirt. You know this guy over here?
I think so. I've seen him run down the field a few times with the ball in arm.
Some guy who lost a little focus, this guy with the white shirt. Hey, Calvin, just wave that over that way. There you go. Calvin Scheckschneider, ladies and gentlemen, the former Rattler great. How's the NFL? You just... Hey, Shakes, we got to get him a mic. we'll catch up with Shakes in a matter of moments. Got to find out how everything's going in San Diego. He's got to be impressed, though, with Gatewood and Maurice Bryant as Cecil Doggett goes head hunting.
Earlier we saw Cecil Doggett cut underneath the receiver, which resulted in a touchdown. That time, he correctly, once he realized where Herb Duncan was coming out of his break, he was able to make a good read on the ball and take the proper pursuit angle rather than trying to cut underneath as he was victimized on that earlier touchdown. It looked like he actually banged his knee on the back of Herb's helmet in making that broken pass.
Still up and running as McDougal fires to the sidelines, complete to Herb Duncan. And Duncan is pasted down at the 20-yard line by the hitman, Cedric Walker. But again, the guy with the white shirt, Calvin Schecksteiner, the former Rattler great, joining us up here. This is television, so I guess, instead of just screaming questions at you, we put a headset on you. How are things with in San Diego, the Chargers?
Hey, it's pretty good. I mean, the organization is nice. I mean, the treatment's been real good. Practice been real good. The weather's there. I mean, it's real lovely, But I miss coming out here. That's why I'm here this weekend. I got a long break right now, so hopefully I'll get some time in.
Pass batted down there at the line of scrimmage. Do you like your chances with the Chargers? I mean, what do you feel? Again, we've seen some different tryouts with Cedric Bonner, and you've had a couple of hits here and there. Are you going to stick?
I do have a good opportunity. I talked with the head coach before I came here to Arizona, and I'm really optimistic about it. I've really been out there and really trying to stay consistent. Do the things I've done here to make me a good player. So.
McDougal going to your former teammate Herb Duncan, and I understand you were at the barbecue, big barbecue with Herb and company last night. I'd like for you to see Herb Duncan wearing a Mustangs helmet.
That's kind of funny. We're both ex-Arizonans right now, but I talked to them last night about playing in their team, why they're 2-4, and what is the real reason, why Milwaukee's not successful. And, they really haven't put it together. I can see that on the team. Arizona's playing real good. I think Maurice has really been a big boost for them. And, they can win it. They can win it here.
All right, Calvin, thanks so much. Best of luck, and keep in touch.
Oh, definitely. Now I have to come out here and play a little.
Who knows? We might see old number 8 shooting back up again. And boy, that would be some kind of an arsenal. But the Rattlers really have helped fill the void with the likes of Maurice Bryant and the play of Gatewood this year.
Well, I'll tell you what, there were so many times there were close games with the Rattlers, and Calvin Schecksteiner came in and just broke games open. I mean, single-handedly, no one could guard him in this arena league. He just took so many games on his own shoulder and started making plays, and not just the easy catches where you're wide open down the middle of the field, but the tough catches also.
Meanwhile, 1st and 10 for Milwaukee nearing the 1-minute mark, trailing by 15. McDougal lets it fly as he is popped back to the 20-yard line. Coverage there by Andre Goins.
Goins did a good job in maintaining his position, and he never gave Compton an opportunity to make that catch. McDougal was back in the line, and he was hoping that somebody got over
has 3 timeouts remaining. Milwaukee
Oscar Sturgis laying the hurt on McDougal. McDougal 3 weeks ago, Doug, suffered a concussion against Grand Rapids, and the result of that concussion, it was a late hit by one of the Grand Rapids defenders. He was suspended 2 games for that late hit on McDougal, but Kevin's a tough customer. He came right back.
And based upon the way he's played this evening, I mean, he really has earned a lot of respect by the Rattler fans by staying in the pocket and throwing some very accurate long throws.
We knew it would be quite a quarterback comparison here tonight. The number 2 and number 4 rated quarterbacks, Bonner and McDougal. Herb Duncan cannot make the catch, and it's now 3rd down. That's a catchable ball over the middle.
It certainly is. Herb Duncan had a chance to make that catch, and I'm not so sure he wasn't aware of Cedric Walker immediately behind him. As soon as, if you're going to get hit, whether you catch the ball or not, you might as well go ahead and make the catch. And you can see McDougal did a good job of delivering the football in an area where Herb Duncan could have made a catch. I'm sure nobody wants to play better here in Phoenix than Herb Duncan does with the years that he spent here with the Rattlers.
3rd and 10 for McDougal. screen play to Savage, and he cannot make the grab. And pays the price by Jai Hill, who laid the stick on.
Jai Hill maintained good discipline and staying in his linebacker position. He didn't leave that area until the ball was thrown. And had Savage been able to make that catch, Jai Hill would have been in a position to make the tackle. It's 3rd and 10. There's no way that Savage was going to be successful in picking up a first down. Jai Hill has just come on this year, really had the opportunity to start playing much more than he has in previous years.
Milwaukee calling a time with 53 seconds. You're right, when Jai Hill has come in and gotten the opportunities, he really has made the most of it. Maurice Bryant was out of the lineup, so Jai Hill, Kevin Knox step in. And there is Arizona once again among the elite in the Arena Football League. Orlando with the perfect record thus far, and really a shame that those two teams won't meet in the regular season. If they do meet, most likely it will be in the Arena Bowl.
You and I were talking about that. When we got the schedule this year, we saw all the away games, the ones that we were going to be televising. It's nice to go down to the Orlandos and the Tampas. We managed to get, the schedule wasn't put together by AAA. It wasn't exactly the resort location that Orlando. Give credit to Gruden, their head coach. He's came out and had them play with such urgency, especially early in the season. And I think that's one thing you can compliment the Rattlers on. They have been able this season to start quickly, which is really kind of uncharacteristic of them. They usually start the game slow and then they overwhelm the team in the second half. But this year, with Albany last week and even Milwaukee this week, they waste no time in getting points on the board.
So it's come down to 4th and 10 for Milwaukee if they have any hopes of coming back in this one against the Rattlers. McDougal flushed out of the pocket. Cedric Walker with the pass breakup. And the Arizona Rattlers defense holds once again. And that should seal the deal with 47 seconds to go. Cedric Walker playing perhaps his best season as a Rattler, coming back from a variety of injuries over the last couple of years, and he is at his best this year.
McDougal should have thrown this ball sooner. Look, he had too much pressure. By the time he throws it, Compton runs out of room. He has no room running to the sideline. You can see him stop here. He just ran out of room. Cedric Walker closed the difference and was able to get a hand up and deflect that pass. But I would say that play was unsuccessful because of the early pressure up the middle of the field by the Rattler defenders getting their arms up.
So the Rattlers with positive yardage can run out the clock. Their next game is back here on Thursday night against San Jose. We saw San Jose's record. They are 4-2, just a game behind Arizona, and tonight playing the LA Avengers, the winless Avengers. So quite conceivably, San Jose will be 5-2 after this evening. So you will see the top two teams in the Western Division in a showdown on CNN Thursday night.
San Jose did not play very well earlier this season when they played against the Arizona Rattlers, but they have proven talent on that football team, both on the offensive and defensive side of the football, and I really anticipated Oklahoma was a surprise this year when they were actually leading the Western Division for a few games. I always thought that it was going to be Arizona and San Jose, with them picking up the All-Arena League player Barry Wagner, who's starting to put his foot forward and starting to make an impact on that team.
Yeah, mostly on defense for Wagner. Now, we saw the blossoming of Dutton, their backup quarterback, who came back and nearly engineered the comeback against the Rattlers, although he goes down with an injury, and now Moncrief is back in as their starting quarterback. I think there was a lot of optimism with Dutton at the helm for San Jose, so it'll be interesting how Green responds once he had his starting job taken away and handed back to him because of the injury.
Some teams are able to juggle that two-quarterback situation, and San Jose may be very well one of those teams, but just exactly as you were describing, Tom, when the Rattlers played San Jose earlier in the year, they just gave both those quarterbacks a tough time.
37 seconds on the clock for Arizona, and second down, looking for that positive yardage, and Jai Hill has it. Along with another Arizona Rattler first down, they'll stop the clock as he's pushed out of bounds. So you want to get the positive yardage, but you want to stay in the playing field as well.
I mean, that's one of those things you get in the huddle and you just say, okay, we're going to try to stay in bounds. We want the clock to go. I mean, how many times have you seen teams where at the end of the game they're trying to run the clock out, they have a running play, and the running back thinks that he wants to break 5 tackles and runs out of bounds? No, the yards are not that important. The time is much more important in this aspect of the game.
There is Randy Dandy Gatewood. Another fine performance with his 3 touchdown receptions.
He must have heard our opening talk.
Yep.
He knew we were talking about it.
Adding to his total now 15 receiving touchdowns. Bob McMillan stayed inbounds and finally tripped up at the 9-yard line and picked up by Jeff Savage. So the clock will run out. It appears that is the final play. And that should do it here from the America West Arena. The clock now stops as Milwaukee calls the timeout. For what reason? Only you at home can guess. 12 seconds to go.
Well, I think one thing this defense has to do for Milwaukee is go back to Milwaukee and just practice snapping the ball and staying on sides. How many times tonight did that defense jump off sides for really no reason whatsoever? And on some of those plays, the defensive secondary played very well, breaking up passes, might have possibly created either 3rd or 4th down situations. So when you're jumping off sides the manner in which they are, it gives the quarterback a free opportunity to try to throw the ball up for grabs and get a touchdown.
Milwaukee offense putting 49 points on the board. There's their offensive coordinator. We talked about him, Tom Morris, sitting up here next to us. Normally you see that offensive coordinator down on the field, but they do things a little differently, and he does things differently. The guy's a nightclub singer, the singing quarterback. He's played in the NFL, the USFL, the CFL, the AFL, and every other FL under the sun. And there he is, the singing QB.
Yeah, the singing, though, I don't think I've ever heard an ex-NFL quarterback being a nightclub singer.
He was doing it during his play days. He's actually a Valley resident. Still lives here in Arizona. The pitch play to Bob McMillan, Iron Mac. And he flies inside the 5-yard line. And unless Milwaukee wants to call another timeout, that should do it. 7 seconds on the clock. It's a Rattler first down, and there is the continuation of the clock, and that will do it. Arizona Rattlers move to 6-1 on the season with the 64-49 victory over Milwaukee. And the Mustangs fall to 2-4. Arizona does, taking that commanding lead in the first quarter, leading 30-14 and never looking back.
Well, this has to be a lot of satisfaction for the Rattlers. The way they were manhandled last year up in Milwaukee, suffered a lot of injuries. I know that they were very focused in playing this Milwaukee team.
Milwaukee defense averaging 57 points by their opposition, and they give up 64 this evening. Just too much to conquer for Milwaukee, and they again fall to 2-4. The Rattlers look ahead to San Jose on Thursday. We'll wrap things up with Doug Plank here on the WB after this.
Uncle Phil's weight is out of control.
Dad will probably outlive all of us. Only if he eats us first.
So he's on a forced diet.
Put your hands up! Step away from the chip!
But Will's still sneaking him burgers.
Good to see you're not wasting time chewing.
For a pretty high price.
I think I'm having a heart attack.
Now he's on the guilt trip of his life.
I've been sneaking him food for the past week.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Monday night at 6 on WB61 and Cox Cable Channel 6.
Checker is your one-stop brake shop. Now get $3 off machining of drums and rotors with purchase of any Ray Bestis brake products. More brands, more parts. Checker, the place to start for parts.
When you're looking for value and people who care, come see us at Fry's. We'll always be right there. Count on us. Count on the people. Count on us. Count on the price.
Fry's has the very best selection in fresh vegetables and perfectly ripened fruit. So for the best produce, shop your neighborhood Fry's.
You can count on us. You can count on us. Count on Fry's.
Inevitably, there will come a time in your life when you realize you need a cell phone. And when that time comes, we'll be here.
From the Big Island to the Big Apple, now you can call all 50 states for one low rate with Cellular One's new Total Freedom Digital Rate Plan. Call virtually anywhere, anytime from just $40 per month for 200 digital airtime minutes with an annual agreement. For details, call 888-GO-SELL-1.
I'm serious. Whenever guys find out I have a cat, they
You kidding me? I love cats.
Of course, my cat's not like other cats.
Well, sure he isn't.
He gets so jealous if anyone drinks my Bud Light. Oh, he may help him get changed.
You're right. Stupid cats.
With a great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down.
Oh, look at you, too.
Make it a Bud Light.
The only thing that comes close to the thrill of driving a new Dodge is the fun of saving on one. Now do both during the Dodge Drive into Summer event, where you can immediately knock $750 off your down payment on a Dodge Dakota thanks to this generous cash allowance. The thrill of driving, the fun of saving, and your timing couldn't be better during the Dodge Drive into Summer event, going on now at your friendly Dodge dealer.
So the Arizona Rattlers win it 64-49, moving to 6-1 on the season. Our player of the game, Mo Money, Maurice Bryant.
Pretty hard to argue with this call. The number of catches and the manner in which he made the catches, it was little wonder that Paul Guidry, number 7, who seemed to be on him the majority of the night, was so frustrated. There we get a chance to see John Fisher. It didn't matter who they were going to put on this kid tonight. He was going to have a great evening.
Came in averaging 109 yards receiving per game, and he goes for 132 here against Milwaukee. Cedric Bonner, meanwhile, firing 7 touchdown passes. 3 others went to Randy Gatewood. Bonner was 28 of 39, and 10 of those 28 completions going to our player of the game, Maurice Bryant. Cedric Bonner reaching the 300 career touchdown passing mark for the Rattlers. That was at number 6. He finished with 7 on the game, but an overall tremendous performance by the Rattlers in that first quarter, 30-14, and really the teams played even from there on out.
They sure did. You talk about Bonner. What an advantage to have receivers like Gatewood, Bryant, and Hunky Cooper to throw to, because not all these catches, not all these throws tonight were right on target. Many times his receivers went out and made it happen, but Cedric Bonner is starting to regain the momentum that he had in previous seasons, and I hear what you said earlier, Tom, regarding coming out of the NFL, being accustomed to throwing on a much larger field. It does take a period of adjustment, but it certainly seems that Cedric Bonner is in the groove.
So that groove, will it continue Thursday night when Cedric and the Rattlers host the San Jose SaberCats, meeting number 2 of the season. Arizona winning it in San Jose in week number 3. The Cats come to town Thursday night. You see the ticket information, 602-514-TDTD, if you want to catch these hard-hitting Rattlers in person here at the America West Arena on Thursday. Our next TV game on the WB, June 10th, from La La Land, LA, the expansion Avengers hosting the Arizona Rattlers. That game can be caught right here on WB 61 starting at 7 o'clock Saturday evening. As always, my thanks to our director, Dan Siekman, his partner in the truck, number 38, Scott Rogers, the birthday boy tomorrow. And for Doug Blank, Tom Leander saying so long from the America West Arena. Another memorable one for the Rattlers. Enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day weekend.